Hey, so this is UnderSCENE's new show, question mark. We don't know what we're doing or calling it. We'll be straight up and honest. Um, Truth
We
is,
didn't want to
we
write.
we saw so many things. Tiff was lovely, but we've seen so many things, and we don't have the time and energy to sort of sit down and write most of these. So we're like, let's discuss it. That'd be easier and funner, also. So yeah, so this is Andres. I'm the managing editor of the site. We are going to discuss this. Who's this? Who am I with?
Oh, who's this? Who are you with? This is Arianne, and I am the editor-in-chief at the UnderSCENE. Yeah.
Okay, so we're here to talk our favorite movies and TV shows of the year. We have a lot of both. You have more TV than I do. I know that much.
Yeah. Well, we set a number, so I turn it
Well,
down, but I have a lot
yeah,
more.
yeah.
You
I
watch
mean,
more movies
overall,
than I watch. You watch more movies, I watch more TV. That's always been the way.
it's also very true.
Yeah.
So figure we can start with TV first. Are we still both doing alphabetical?
Yeah, we can absolutely do alphabetical.
Okay, so I figure how we can do this is well, one each say whatever's on our list one after another,
Okay.
and then if one of us has it on the other, we'll wait to discuss it. Otherwise, we'll just give a brief blurb of whatever we want to say about it.
Yeah.
Okay, you first.
Okay. They're in alphabetical order. They're not in any ranking.
Yeah. Also, I'm ignoring "thes" in my titles. It's just
Yes.
whatever.
Yes. I went with that way too. Okay, so I have for this year in TV A League of Their Own, Abbott Elementary, Andor, Bad Sisters, The Bear, Hacks, House of the Dragon, Irma Vep, White Lotus, as well as Yellow Jackets. And yes, I know Andres pronated it to me. It's a 2020 show, a 2021 show. It ended in 2022, and that's how I'm counting it.
I almost wanted to like take that and slide it in at the bottom. Like be like, yeah, that's fine. If that's the rules we're playing with, then sure. But no, I didn't. Was Abbott? Are you counting for like the first season or like
I'm
everything that's aired
counting
this year
both because they both aired like when
within the
did
same calendar year? I think.
yeah, like Abbott Elementary season 1 ended in 2022, right?
I'm
2021.
pretty
Yeah, it did.
sure
Yeah, it did. So because it started in January and like
December 2021.
yeah, the pilot first aired and then it had a break until January 4th. So it had a full month off. So technically it is a 2022 show.
And that's fine. Most like pilots are also like has a bit of a gap anyway from episode 1 to
Yeah,
2.
I remember they wanted like to drive attention to it, so they aired it after like a big event, sport event
Listen,
like
I mean, if
maybe.
we're allowing Yellow Jackets for one episode, then we can
It's more than
allow.
one. Stop. It's at least
Probably.
three. Let me
Okay,
Google it.
sure.
One, two, three. Yeah, it's three. We're good.
3? Okay. How many episodes was the season?
But I think wait, there's 10 episodes, I believe. Yeah, 10 episodes. So a quarter. No,
I
a
don't know.
third.
A third. Okay, sure. Um, so we have some crossovers.
Mhm.
For my
Not a
list,
lot.
I not a lot. For my list, I went The After Party,
Mhm.
Andor, Archive 81, Barry, The Bear, The Midnight Club, Miss Marvel, Pretty Little Liars Original Sin, Reboot, and The Rehearsal.
It's a good list.
It feels too because and it is because I don't watch enough TV because I feel like I haven't even watched most of the shows you ended up mentioning.
Mhm.
And a lot of the other ones that I did were like 11, 12,
Yeah.
and but it feels a little surface level for me. But I'm like, these are very
I mean,
specific.
they're all
Me too.
good TV shows.
They are. So do you want? What was your first? Do you want to start with?
A League of Their Own, which I've written about. I made everyone I know watch. It's a
I haven't
reboot
yet.
of yeah, I know you haven't. It's it's a reboot of the movie A League of Their Own, but it's told to like a queer and POC perspective. Amazon needs to renew it. I'm tired. Um, It's it's probably like from Abby Jacobson, who did Broad City, so it's that type of humor. But it's just like I remember watching it. I got screeners for it for us to review, and I just remember sitting and I was like anticipating it, but not that much. And I just
Right.
remember like being like, "Wait, what? Like this is so queer," and I was so excited. But it also like you know me, I watch anything that has queer characters in it. I don't care
It's
if it's
true.
bad or good. I will watch it. I was scared at first that this was going to be bad, and it's incredible.
Yeah, I still want to see it, and I'm upset because the problem doing this, unfortunately, is like you if you don't catch it early or you don't catch it
Yeah,
that opening weekend, it's like you're just playing catch up for the
catch
rest
up.
of the time, and there's so many things that I still haven't watched there,
Yep.
and we can only push this off for so long, also, so it's tough,
Yeah.
and I want to try and see it, and
And it's not like we don't have full-time jobs.
yes, that drains us past the 40 hours we work,
Yep.
and it's it's something I want to see. I do hope that there is a second season. I know because you was the review for us.
Yeah.
Okay,
No, it was for Screen Spec.
right. Yes, because I was wondering,
Yeah,
and then you wrote about it for Collider as well,
I did. Yeah.
which went over well. I
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah, it did well. Yeah, I mean, I follow the one of the creator follows me. I've talked about how much I love that show. I need season 2 and it's been like when did it drop?
I want
Like
to say like June, the summer.
it dropped in August and it still hasn't been renewed, but it also has not been canceled.
My first on the list is the After Party. I should have wrote down. I had minor notes, but not really. Who was behind this show?
Let me after party.
Chris Miller,
Which
Phil
another
Lord.
show, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's Phil and it's Lord and Miller. It's another show where I watched a pilot because you told me, and I was like, "This is great." Never went back to it.
it's so fun, and the fact that like every episode is a different genre, and it's just
Hmm.
those guys tackling different things from like, or it's like a 5 minute art house film
Yeah.
to a full blown musical that plus the whole who done it mystery of it all was fun, and those actors are just entertaining, and I know they have a second season coming out soonish, so I'm just
Yeah.
excited for that.
Yeah, it's one of those shows that is on my list. I have my list of TV shows I need to catch up on for 2022, which I'm like, I need to catch up before I start my 2023 shows, but I don't know how it's gonna go because 2023 is already starting with big shows.
What was your number two?
Abbott.
Abbott. Yes,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, do we need to talk about Abbott? It's just every episode I just start crying of laughter. It's just so good.
it's so
Um,
funny and endearing at the same time, and
mhm.
you just want everything for most of them.
Yeah, I mean, I care about every single one of those characters. Like every single one of them.
I didn't realize how quickly I got invested, I think, on my initial watch. And then I've
Mhm.
rewatched the first season, like half of it or so, and it's still captivating, it's still as funny.
Mhm. And
I need
there's
to
a
catch up
lot
for
of
season two.
yeah, season 2 is great. Like season 2, like I remember when one episode aired and we were all like, here's Cheryl's Emmy again. Because like you just know this show is gonna do well. And the fact that it's a network TV show
Yeah.
makes me so happy. And like Quint has talked a lot about why she wanted it on network television and everything. And I'm like, that's so fun because I don't remember the last time we had a network comedy show that was so popular. It probably was Parks and Recs or Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine might have been it. I can't, nothing else is really coming to mind at the
Well, The
moment.
Good Place was pretty popular.
Yeah, but I feel like even The Good Place was more so popular from people finding it afterwards on Netflix. At least
Yes.
from what
Yeah.
I was seeing. I wasn't really seeing like that week to week discussion.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
I just love it.
my number two is on your list, and it's
Andor?
Andor.
Yeah.
I think I was talking to this with Jared, and I think I texted him 3 words just saying I can't swim,
Oh,
and he got so mad at me, which was fair. I deserved it. But what a show. I was not I think I went in with very low expectations. I really
well, you
maybe not
watched it
low.
before me, which is rare because between the two of us, I'm the
You're a
bigger
Star Wars
Star Wars
person.
fan.
Yeah, I
But
really liked Kenobi. I think I liked Kenobi more than most people,
yeah, I did enjoy Kenobi. Not as much as you, I think, but I did enjoy it.
and that was on my list, but I didn't want 2 Star Wars shows. Sorry.
That's fair.
I love you, Ewan, but no. Um, and then the truth is, Andor is just such a powerhouse of a show that I don't think many people were expecting to hit this way.
Well, because let's be real, Andor is not even the best character of Rogue One.
No,
He's not. The reason why we all loved him is because Diego. He has such charisma, and we all love the actor. But I like so I watched the first 3 episodes when they first no, I watched the first episode when it first dropped, and I was
right.
like, this is okay. Like I wasn't running to it, and I think I hit my wall with Star Wars at that point. I was just like, I'm over it. I'm a big Star Wars fan. I'll just go back to my original movies, and that's where I'm gonna live because I've been so disappointed. And
Yeah,
yeah, like I have like I like the first season of the Mandalorian, but that's pretty much it for the TV shows. Like the rest are just meh. So I was just like, I don't know. And then you kept going like, no, keep watching, keep watching, keep watching. And I was like, and I think I binged it. It had just ended when I watched it, and I think I stayed until 4 a.m. and I just didn't finish. I remember you texting you after the I can't swim and being like, what the fuck?
yeah, and the thing that makes it so much easier and compelling is like they did it in arcs, so like it was like 3 episode stories, 3 episode
Yeah.
stories, and
And
stuff.
I
So
think
it's
that's why I didn't like it at first is because I only had time to watch one episode when it first dropped.
mhm.
My friend did the same thing. She only watched one and she's like, I can't get into it. I'm like, they're arcs. Watch the first 3. There's a reason why they dropped it this way.
Yeah, because they did the first
3 at
3,
once.
yeah, which was very surprising.
Yeah, but it makes sense as to why.
It does.
Because once you end that 3 episode arc, you're like, oh, I get what this show is. But you don't get that from the first episode.
And it just sort of builds and builds, and I know that I think they're starting to film season 2 right now, and we won't be getting it until next year, but I'm very interested, as they've mentioned, that it sort of leads up directly
Yeah,
until
I'm a bit
beginning of
scared
Rogue.
for season 2 simply because his original plan was a 4 season show, but because of the scale of what he wanted and like the money wise, they said we can only give you 2. So I'm like, you're cramming 3 seasons worth of story in it. So I'm a bit scared about it, but look, that first season was so good. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, and I guess they're probably just going to pick and choose little
Hmm.
parts to focus on and try their best, because they did mention there's going to be a lot of time jumps, but I
I mean, they have to. They're so far away from Rogue One, and it's supposed to end with him getting into Rogue One. So I have Endor at as my third show alphabetical, and I have Bad Sisters, which I know you haven't watched, and I've told you you need to.
no, I haven't. What's it on?
It's on Apple TV.
Okay.
It is. I mean, it's my second favorite show of the year. Like if we rank them, I binged it in one day. So I watched it because a lot of people we know watched it and they were like, Ariane, this is made for you. Like, this is your type of humor. And I love Sharon Organ. I think she's great. She is one of my favorite working actress and writer. I've watched everything she's done. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to watch it. It's on Apple TV. It's not like I don't have the network and everything. So I
Right.
was just like, I'll just watch it. Incredible. It is. I've never hated a character so much in my entire life than I have watching that show. I have never like I was like he needs to die. He needs to die. Let's go. Go to it. And I think that's why it works so well. And it's the first show where I watch where the victim by the end you you kind of like because it's a abusive show. Like it's about a sisters trying to kill the abusive husband of their older, like one of their sisters. That's the whole
Okay.
premise of it. And by the end, instead of making the victim, she's the survivor. And I've never seen a show do it so well in so little time. Because usually, like surviving, like shows about victims and abuse, it takes seasons and seasons for them to exit that relationship. That
Right.
show was like, nah.
How many episodes is it?
I think it's 8. Let me
That
see.
sounds like them.
Yeah, Apple TV. Oh no, it's
They like
10.
this.
So it's I
They
wasn't
like this.
that
Yeah.
far. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's great. And apparently it's a remake. It's a like Irish adaptation of a Dutch show. Oh
Interesting.
no, a Flemish show. I okay. Yeah, a Flemish show, and so it's Belgian, and I think that show had one season, but now they're getting a second season of Bad Sister. Yeah, it only had one season. So it's gonna be now they're going into whatever they want to do, which is gonna be very interesting.
I think the only solution is that you have to come over one day and just like make me watch first episodes of a bunch of different
Of a bunch
things.
of shit. I mean, it's not
Yeah,
like I live far.
that's just true. You're not that
It's
far
just
away.
finding time where we're both free.
Yeah, which is not easy.
Nope, that has been our problem.
So the next one on my list,
I think we have the same.
no, uh, I think we have two different in between, but Archive 81,
Oh yeah, okay.
which I think I saw because it came out last January, I believe, and then I saw it like the month prior because it was like around the same time I was watching After Party, which was right
Yeah,
before the new year.
yeah.
Um, and I've been obsessed. I think I've watched it in full like 3 times. It is one of the shows. It is one of two shows that are on this list that I'm upset about that were canceled
Getting
by
canceled.
Netflix. Um,
Yeah.
and it's I have no idea what that second season was going to be. It was it ended in a very weird place, and I'm almost happy it didn't go because I wasn't entirely sure where it was going to go,
Mm,
but I still think as like a standalone thing, it's part of like this whole new almost mini genre I've noticed where it's like people watching old media tapes, DVDs, whatever, and sort of like finding a hidden conspiracy in the middle of it all, and it going like drives them crazy. But it's such a fascinating long form take of it because all the other stuff I've seen has been just films. Like I think it was Censor and Broadcast Signal Intrusion. They're
mm-hmm.
all just very similar feels, and it was just nice to see Archive 81 do it long term for it. It was based on a podcast or something.
Yeah. That's the one thing I heard about that show is that it was based outside of you. It was based on a podcast, but that the main like the girl was supposed to be a lesbian, but the show just erased that. And then I was like, oh, I'm good then.
Yeah, I did hear of that. It was like very there is like a relationship with the main character and her quote best friend. Um and there are moments in the show where I'm like at like especially on a rewatch after finding that out where I watched it again and I was like I don't they could say that it's implied, but even then that's still not fine. But it's
Yeah.
still it was a weird change for them to do. But I also am not familiar with the podcast before that.
Yeah. That's the only thing I heard about the show outside of you talking about it. Still haven't watched it. It's on my queue. One day.
One day.
My thing about Netflix is that they're canceling everything, so I'm like, why would I watch your shows?
It's true. Even watching Archive 81, I halfway through and I was like, if they leave it open ended, I don't think we're getting a second season.
Yeah.
And they did. And I was like, oh, I'm not finding out what's gonna happen.
Yep. Yeah. I think my next one we have it both. I mean, it's the bear.
What is it?
The bear.
We do, but I
Yeah.
have one before that.
Do that one then and we'll go to the bear.
Okay. Are you caught up for Barry?
No, you can spoil it. I've seen a lot of spoilers. I'm still
It's
on
just
season
it's
1.
Oh, okay, you're not caught
I'm
up at all.
far, yeah, I am far
It's not a
behind.
comedy. It's not a comedy
Yeah.
anymore. I don't know how they keep nominated for comedies, but there are moments that have kind of not scared me, but shook me to my core almost, that are like just these little one-offs that I'm like, where the fuck is Bill Hader pulling this out of? Like, this is traumatizing stuff to some, and it's very fascinating, and I'm so excited that it's continuously going and getting more hype, and I'm just sad about the waits in between, because I just want to binge the whole thing again.
Yeah. I think I'm like middle of season one. I'm taking my time with it because you told me how heavy it gets. And I'm like, okay, let me just enjoy the humor for now and then I'll go to the heavy stuff.
Yeah, it's really like opening a door and you're like, oh, okay, more people are here than I expected, and then it just more people just it just keeps going and going.
Yeah. I heard season four is the last one, but I can't see like any confirmation of that.
I think they've announced one more.
Yeah, they announced season four, but I've seen online people say it's the last one, but I don't know how true that is.
I
Or
think
it's
it
just like
might
people
be, or at least the last one
speculating.
current.
Yeah.
So, the bear.
Oh. So I was behind on the bear. We started at the same time and then I kind of got busy, so I stopped. And then I got back to it when we were like, okay, let's start thinking about our best of list. So I was like, I need to finish the bear because I knew just from the episodes I had watched, it was making my list.
Yeah, because I think it was coming out. It started
Well, we got
August
it
or
later.
so.
Yeah, we got it
That's
later
also
than
true. Yeah, for
America.
us, because
Yeah.
it was all at once in the States, right?
No, it was released weekly in the States.
Oh, it is a FX show.
Yeah. Oh no, it did get released all at once. Oh, that's interesting. I just googled it. Yeah, but we got
That
it
and yeah,
weekly. Yeah.
thank you, Star. I mean, at least we got it, but still,
Yeah, so it
um,
released in June, end of June, and then we got it, started getting it in August.
right? Because I know halfway through it, I think was when we had TIFF.
Yeah, and so I
So
stopped
during
there.
yeah, same. That's the point where I was like, I can't. Let me catch up on everything that I could, and then put everything on pause. And then it was sort of coming back to it and watching episode 7 that just destroyed me.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so we both have worked in restaurants. I still work in one. That fucking machine, and I went to rewatch the episode like after I finished the whole show. I rewatched the episode because I thought I heard something and I wasn't sure. You can hear that fucking machine the whole time. Even if they're not in it, the
God, I
shot is
can't.
not on it, you can still hear print at the back. And I was like, that is the most PTSD I've ever had from a show.
Do you ever, maybe not during sleep, but like when you're trying to sleep and you hear like the beeping of the fryer alarm?
Oh, yeah.
God, it's the worst. And
I
it
mean,
is
I
that
watched it. Yeah. I watched
that
that episode in the middle of our Christmas rush for us. And I think I watched it after one of the busiest day we've had where I was stuck in kitchen the whole time and that machine would not stop printing and I could understand everything that they were going through and I was just like, yeah, I get it. I would also lose my mind.
listen, it's one thing when you're just trying to make food and the orders just keep going and you're like, I
Mhm.
can't keep up with this. It's
Nope.
another thing entirely when it starts printing and from the first order you're already like, we don't have enough.
Yeah.
And then it just keeps going and it's relentless, and it is arguably the scariest thing I've watched all year.
Mhm.
Um, and it is so good. And
The
um,
last two episodes of that show are everything. Like they are the crescendo of everything of that season. Like the whole first six episodes, I was just like, where's this going? Like, are we just watching like a restaurant? Like I didn't get it. Like I loved it, but I
Yeah.
didn't get what the overarching arc was. And then those last 2 episodes were like a fucking baseball bat to the fucking gut and being like, here you go. Here's your fucking thing you've been asking about. And I was destroyed.
It's so good, and I can't wait. I think, and then it randomly gets so funny in the middle of it all between people getting stabbed at work
It's the way
to
he reacts to being stabbed. I've been stabbed. I've been stabbed. And just walked away. And I was like, what?
if that happened to me, I'd be freaking out way
Yeah.
worse.
It's
Even the scene at the like family party
yeah.
when all the kids have been drugged and are all
Yeah.
asleep, and they're just like, "That's fine."
It's so good. I love that show so much. Yeah. And it also has some of my favorite like friendship of the year.
It's true. That is
Like
one thing
all the
that,
relationships I love, like Sydney and Carmi, love them. Carmi and his sister Sugar, one of my favorite family relationship. But like even like small ones, like all the cook fucking love them.
and that's the thing. Like, it's something I've missed working from home. Is that like
Mm-hmm.
f- work relationship process that's both kind of family because you have to deal with shit like that happens in
Yeah.
episode 7 together, and then it's also like you're like, keep your distance.
I mean, it is a
I don't know about
family.
you. That's also true.
Especially like the
um
environments we've both worked in. You don't have a choice when you're so busy.
yeah, it's really, it is something that I want to recommend to more folks if people haven't seen it that are working that type of
I
industry.
was telling
But
everyone, I was like, you guys need to watch this. You will understand everything they're going through.
it's true, and it is like the touch of realism to acting in it too, or being at a
I mean,
restaurant that is too real.
have you watched Shameless?
No, I really want to
I
though.
love him in Shameless, but this, he is on another level. He is so good, Jeremy.
Yeah, this was definitely something where I've seen him in the sidelines of
Yeah.
things for a long time, and I've never really actively paid attention to him, frankly. But this was like, okay, what are you doing next? Maybe I should watch Shameless, like that sort of
Mm-hmm.
response.
Yeah, he got cast in something, and I was like, ooh, that sounds fun.
Is that the Iron Claw,
Is that.
the
Yes.
one with Zac Efron?
Yes.
Yeah,
With Lily
yeah, I'm excited
James.
for that one.
Yeah. He also got cast in a Jesse Buckley movie. The
Okay,
science fiction
that
romance
sounds good.
film. That sounds great. With Riz Ahmed, Jesse, him, Annie Murphy, and Luke Wilson. Give that movie, Jesus.
Who's it directed by?
His name is Christos Niku. I don't know what he's done before.
Doesn't ring a bell
Um,
for myself.
yeah, he hasn't done. He's been an assistant director, so this is his directorial
Okay,
debut.
okay.
Or he did one directing, but I've never heard of that movie.
Listen, if I didn't count it, but if Michael Giacchino can do Werewolf by
I
Night,
know.
going from composer to director, I trust a first AD
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah.
What number was that for you, the bear? 4?
5.
5. Okay, so it's my 5 as well. What's your
My
6?
6 is Hacks, which I know you haven't watched.
No, but it's something that's always there.
Yeah. I remember watching the first season and being like, oh, this is cute. Like, Gene Smart is the reason why you watch it. Season 2 was just one of the best season of television I've watched. It was so good. And I don't know how long they're gonna go because like Gene Smart is pretty in demand.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that she was in Babylon, to be
I
honest,
knew she
until
was.
she
Yeah,
showed
I
up in
saw
the first
her
scene.
in the trailer, and I was like, "Oh yes, yeah,
She's great in it. We'll talk about
yeah."
it
We'll talk. We both have
eventually.
it, so
But
yeah.
it's I want to see it, and I think I don't remember her name, but from It's Always Sunny is in it, right?
Yeah, she plays Jean's daughter. What's her
Yeah.
name? Katie. Ugh. this is gonna bug me now. Caitlin Olsen. Here you go.
I think she was nominated for it, I believe.
James was
But
not. No, I don't think she was because she's only in a few episodes. Oh, she was for Primetime Creative Arts, so you were right, for a guest actress. It was way below. Yeah.
gotcha. Okay.
She didn't win. Laurie Metcalf
There we
won for the Sing Show. But
That's
yeah.
fair. It's been something on my list. It sounds
It's so good.
something up my alley,
Yeah.
but there's too many
I know.
shows. I need to try. Like I've been so far. It's only been I think 3 uses so far, but I've been trying to keep up with Letterbox. So I'm trying to properly keep track this year
I
because it's
know.
been a while
Last
since
year I
I
was pretty
have.
good for movies. This year, like my goal is to be pretty good with TV shows because they have like the version of Letterbox for TV now.
Oh yeah, serialized.
Yeah.
I think
And like I've been trying to at least log not maybe not every episode, but at least log the seasons I've watched.
that's fair.
Um
Yeah,
I'm
episodes is. Can you imagine just being like, I watched 3 episodes of The Office today?
yeah, so for shows like I mean I've been pretty good the last month at keeping every episode. It's just when I binge that becomes hard. But I haven't binged that much anymore. I watch mostly things once at a time and then I give myself a few and then I go back.
Until until about a week ago, I think. But yeah,
No, I did.
there's an exception.
What was Oh yeah, no, but that's different.
An exception.
That is
Yeah.
different. I was like, no, oh yes, I did last week.
I think it was last week. I don't
I
know
don't
exactly when,
remember.
but that
Look, I will be
it might have
honest.
been before
I went into
Christmas.
work yesterday and I was like, what day are we? I don't know. I have no
I I
clue.
I think it's been years since I've been able to wake up and realize, oh, it's Friday, it's Thursday, outside of just being it as, oh, it's Thursday, so I know it's my day
Yeah.
off, sort of thing. Um,
Yeah.
so the next on my list is The Midnight Club. Did you finish
I
it?
haven't even started it. I'm still on Midnight Mass, my man.
Oh, that's what you were
Yeah.
watching. That's right. Did you finish that?
Nope.
No. Jesus.
Look, I am Trump.
I
With that
know.
show, you
I
didn't
know.
tell me that animals were dying left and right, especially cats, and I was like, okay, I need a moment.
Yeah, I forgot about that portion. I Everyone knows I love Mike
Yeah.
Flanagan, and Midnight Club is impactful. It's very emotional. Rewatched it. I think I've watched it in full now 3 times.
Jeez.
Um, Not entirely surprising.
No.
I watched it like once and a half for a review as well. So I think part of it wasn't my favorite thing that he's done. It is very much geared to like the young adult
Hmm.
audience, and it works because it's also based on those novels as well. And the the truth is, if it wasn't for the fact that once it was canceled, that Flanagan went and did a write up of everything that was going to happen for season 2, or that was in talks to happen, I think that thought of it made such an improvement on the show as well,
Mm.
because it was like some of the things that were left open had a end goal at least, and it made so much sense, not only within the show but also within how he functions, and his shows and films have worked out, and like his way of thinking for them as
Yep.
well, that it was just it made the show better. And I think it's one of the, I mean, I cry through a lot of stuff, but it's one of the shows that have, and things I've watched in the year that has gone into me again and
Mm.
again and again. Um,
It would have been his
so
first
it's good. You'll get
multi-season,
there.
right? Because like I don't count Hunting
Yes,
as a multi-season because they're standalone seasons, but it would have been his first.
they're they're standalone seasons. Like, I mean, they're like both shows have a Bent Neck Lady, right? Like, so they're both, they are anthology, almost like American Horror Story, but not really. Like, it is. It's weird. It's weird. I don't count them as separate. I count them as separate shows though.
Hmm.
Like when I
Yeah,
do my
no, I do
ranking of
too.
the entire thing, I don't,
So
of his filmography. I don't.
he has one more show with Netflix, right? And after that he goes to Amazon.
Yeah, the Fall of the House of
Yeah.
Usher, I think.
Yeah, he has that, and then after that, he goes to Amazon, which he's developing apparently the Dark Tower, and I am excited.
Yeah, because it's what it's first it's TV shows and then an eventual movie or something.
They haven't said. He just said like he is planning to adapt it. He has the rights. Which I'm
Which I
thinking they're
mean,
gonna
like
do
I
a TV show because that book is that those books are way too hard to do as a movie. They've tried and it failed.
yeah, and that's the thing. It's like I not only with his track record with King, but
I mean,
just his track
it
record
is
overall.
the best thing Stephen King has ever written. It is his masterpiece, and he even says it.
I wish I can read it. I barely am able. I think I read two things last year, and
Yeah.
I'm
I mean,
like
it's 9
the
books.
third thing I'm trying to. Yeah, I can't. I King, I'm obsessed with what you think and stuff, but like
Mhm.
I can't read your stuff. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. It's rough. So I'm excited for it
Were you
all.
surprised they canceled it, or were you expecting it?
I was kind of expecting it. I think I was, and I know he said it wasn't like a out of a bitter thing,
Because you
because it was
signed
like
it?
I think yeah, because I'm pretty sure he signed it, and like the next day it was canceled too.
That's what
Like it was,
yeah.
and he says it wasn't something that was like bitter about it as a response to it. So like the thing is, the he is successful on their network and or platform,
Mhm.
right? Like everything. I think Gerald's Game is the only thing that he's done for them that has not really responded
And
that
even
from what I've
then,
seen with that many
I know a
folks.
lot of people who tell me that Gerald's Game is insane. Like, I know people who don't know who Mike Flanagan is, but have watched it because it pops on their recommended.
It's it's great, but it's also the only thing of his I think that I've only seen
Yeah.
once.
Well, it's not as typical
And
movies.
it's not. I think it's the first time he has a degloving scene, which he keeps in
Yeah,
like
everything
everything,
else.
everything
Yeah.
else. And it's one of the few things that like I can't watch. I give me anything else, but I can't watch
Yeah.
that portion. So I am a little surprised, but I'm also like it wasn't performing well. Even friends of mine who or ours that have seen it that also love other Flanagan projects are like, it could have been better. Like
Yeah.
they, when you compare it, it doesn't win, and that's fine.
Yeah. I mean, I will forever love him because they kept telling him you need to put more jump scares, so he decided to just go overboard, and now he has a world record and be like, no one can tell me that I need more jump scares
I
anymore.
I,
And I was like, you're a
I
fucking king.
love it.
I love you.
I
Like,
I love it because the thing is like watching it and it just breaks itself. It gets like at first I was jumping. I every time I've seen that episode, I would jump at the proper like appropriate times, and then it just gets to a point where I'm just like laughing
yeah,
because you're like
it's
it's not even
ridiculous.
it's a you are ruined, and then they play into it with the show
Yeah.
by them calling it out. They're just like this isn't scary. You're
This
just anyone
is,
can make a
it's
loud
also so
noise.
funny to me that they gave him this note when this man has given me the biggest jump scares of my entire life with that car scene.
It's so good. I rewatched that
I
show
will
recently
forever
too.
remember being home alone when watching it and screaming so hard that the neighbors knocked on the door to ask if I was okay because it was 3 a.m. It scared the living shit out of me.
Oh, bless you, Mike Flanagan. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Look, you know it's good when I like horror.
It's true.
Yep. I mean, I've gotten better at it. You turned me into someone who watches stuff.
I'm trying. I do with anyone I can.
Yep.
I do with anyone I
Look, you
can.
made me watch Midsummer, and in it's that in
I
itself.
got you the director's cut.
And I watched it. I was traumatized when I watched it.
I'm subjecting you to 3 hours of chaos. Like I don't think I would make you watch Hereditary. I don't think you've seen that
No,
one. It is a bit more.
you know what I can and cannot
Oof.
watch.
It's true, and I think that's why it's more fun because I do with music or whatever. I like to curate stuff
Yeah,
for folks. Like it's like what can you do? What is too much for you?
yeah.
And then I know what areas to sort of play with.
Yeah. Okay, next on my list. I don't think you've even watched that. House of the Dragon. I don't think you started it.
I've not. I have not.
Okay, we both watched Game of Thrones. We want to go to the finale together. We watched it in a crowded movie theater. I screamed at the top of my lung when he got named king. I still remember that moment.
It was a good moment.
I think that's my favorite moment to tell people in a movie theater. Like the whole movie theater laughing because I said that is still my favorite thing I've ever had in a movie theater because it was just visceral. I could not believe it.
It was very. It didn't. It doesn't make
I just
sense. And
remember going, "Oh
I.
fuck off!" so loud, and everyone's just laughing. Yeah.
I. Because I binged the show. Right. I didn't watch it
Oh,
week
that's
to
true. You
week.
didn't watch it. I see. I watched Game of Thrones live since the first
Yeah.
season. So House of the Dragons, I had no expectation. I remember when that trailer dropped, and I just remember texting, be like, "I have no interest in this," which is hard because I've read the book. I have read every single Game of Thrones books. I've read the book House of the Dragon is based on. It's one of my favorite things he's ever written. And I just remembering, like, I don't know. Like, people were like, well, Arianne, it was a different team. Doesn't matter. Game of Thrones was shit at the end, and I was expecting nothing. The only reason why I was gonna watch it is because they have Olivia in it. That's the only reason. Olivia Cook. She was the only reason why I was
Right.
even interested. That show was fantastic. I cannot believe that it was so good. And I think a lot of people are pointing out like it's because they understood what worked in Game of Thrones, which was the politics. And that is all this show is. It is a politic drama about a family breaking apart. And I was like, that is what I wanted.
Yeah. I want to see it. I'm just going to be repeating myself. I
You
think
don't have
until
time.
like the rest of it. But I think it was like because when did that start airing? Was that around
It was before White
TIFF?
Lotus because HBO loves to do that in August. End of August.
Yeah. So it was like right around the time leading up to TIFF, and I think it was that because also the Lord of the Rings one came
Yeah.
out around the same time, and I don't remember what I was watching then.
Yeah, I just remember House of the Dragon was the only thing I was keeping up with during TIFF. That was the only thing.
Right. Yeah. It wasn't. I'm trying to think of what else was coming out outside of like maybe whatever Marvel shows was at the moment. It all blurs
Yeah,
together to me.
yeah. It's a show that I just remember watching and being like, this has no right to be this good. And it's obviously, like, yeah, the writing is good and yeah, the story is good. It's the acting that made the show. Like, Patty, if he doesn't win an Emmy for it, it's insane because he gave one of my favorite performance of the year in his final episode on the show. And, like, towards the end of the season, and I was just like, this is incredible. I can't believe like they're making he's like their Ned Stark, and you can tell, but I love him more than Ned because he I don't know how to describe it without spoiling it, but he gives a speech that had me like, holy crap.
Yeah, I think I'll probably try to watch
I mean,
it
you have time. It's not
once.
season 2 is not coming until 2024. So,
Yeah, and that's the other thing was like because I wasn't up to date really with Game of Thrones. I was like, why am I gonna rush? Because they had already announced it was gonna be 2 seasons when it started, right?
no, they got renewed
Or
during season
no?
1.
Oh,
They,
okay.
they
I think that
yeah.
was another reason why I was like, I'll wait.
Yeah, they got renewed
Um,
during season 1 because it was growing every week.
I might try and watch it once I'm done with Last of Us
Mm-hmm.
because then I can probably sort of backtrack and focus because I don't think I have anything else like TV shows or any.
Yeah, the
I'm,
only other
I'm
TV show that I need to write for us. I have 2 TV shows I need to write for us this week if I can.
so my next thing I think is
I don't think we have
might
anything
be the
left similar on our list from now on.
no, no. Um, but I think it's also the only Marvel release on both of
Yeah, I
our
didn't put any Marvel for me.
on TV or film,
Yeah,
right? So the one I did include was Miss Marvel.
yeah.
Yeah, it's. I am sad that that first episode got Pilgrim-esque. Like graphics didn't stay the entire show because I
Yeah.
think that first episode is so
And I think
alive
that's my
in
problem with
comparison.
most Marvel shows.
Yeah, it loses itself somewhere along the way. And I know some of them early on had they all have rewrites, but they all had like rewrites and COVID based rewrites as well.
Hmm.
Um, that it was tougher for them to sort of redirect it afterwards. But Miss Marvel had me care so much about these
Yeah.
people in such a quick time.
Hmm.
And I think like the other one I may have put would have been Moon Knight, which was also
I never
great.
finished it. I still need to. I need to catch up on Marvel stuff, but I cannot get past
You can
Moon
wait.
Knight, and it's fucking CGI. And I think that's where I'm at with Marvel now. Is I cannot get past their CGI, and I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah, I still watch pretty much as soon as I'm able to. But I think between that and it's also just they went through phase four so
And it
quick.
was
There was
horrible.
so much. The TV shows were the best part.
It's even then. Okay, let's talk about the TV shows in general, right? WandaVision, I think is my favorite thing they did for TV because it was original. Miss Marvel probably would rank second. Loki was pretty good.
For
Yeah, I
Loki. I
think
mean,
Loki.
Jonathan Majors at the end with that
I am one
monologue
of the
gets me every
few that
time.
do not give a shit about Loki. I don't care about his character. I'm like, eh. I actually really like because it actually matters to the future of the MCU. That's why I think I love it so much. Falcon could have been a movie. Moon Knight, I haven't finished it, but
I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier should have
yeah,
been a
it should have
movie.
been a movie. It was a 6-hour movie I watched. Um,
Yeah, and that was one of the things where because there was a not drug, but something that they were doing that was giving like side effects similar to COVID, and that was one of like the rewrites they
oh,
had to
I did
deal with.
not know that.
So there was a whole backstory for like one of that mother character that was that had
Hmm.
died that you'd never really get introduced, but it was like a big name actor. That was one of the things that were sort of like moved around. It
Okay.
was a mess.
Yeah, so Loki, what if never finished it? Um,
Yeah, no, it's fine. You don't have
Hawkeye,
to. It doesn't really
yeah,
count.
Hawkeye, the most disappointing show of the year to me because I am a big Kate Bishop fan. She is one of my favorite characters. She's probably my second favorite character. Big disappointment.
She's great in it.
He's not. I
He's
Yeah.
fine.
And the story, I was just like, where are we going with this? It took 5 episodes for it to get started, and I was like, oh, okay, we have one more episode. That's it.
And then and that's what most of them end up
Yeah.
doing. But they end up introducing or reintroducing, I guess, Kingpin,
Which I'm
and
fine with. Like, I don't.
he's like numbed down. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't feel which fair, but still.
Moon Knight, haven't finished it. Miss Marvel was great. I would rank it probably like second in all the TV shows after WandaVision. She-Hulk, I'm halfway through it and I like it. I love Tatiana. I've loved her since Orphan Black. I just don't see the bigger picture. And that's where I'm at with those TV shows is they're making them so like important. Like they're it's as if they're not wanting to give them movies to introduce them.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, but that's so different than what you were doing at first with WandaVision, Loki, Falcon, Hawkeye. And now I just don't see the vision, and that's my problem. CG.
Okay, so Miss Marvel, what's your sixth, seventh?
My next one is Irma Vep.
I have not seen
I
that.
know you haven't, and okay. So I've seen the original movie. I love Olivier. He's one of my favorite working director. I think I watch a lot of French stuff too, right? Like that's where I'm from and everything. So I watch a lot of French movies and everything. So I've loved him since before like Americans discovered him, right?
Discovered him.
Yeah, so before Clouds,
Yeah,
basically. I've loved him since before that.
because it was for me. It was like seeing the 1-2 punch. I saw it way after, but I've started hearing his name around the time these films
Yeah,
were being released. But
Clouds and
Personal
Personal
Shopper,
Shoppers, yeah. Um,
Because I don't remember. I don't think I've seen any of his other
yeah.
films though yet.
Um, I so a lot of people. So I remember when it first aired, the first episode, and Twitter discovered. Like I'm on queer Twitter, right? And they discovered it, and I
Right.
was like, people are expecting so much from this man, and this is not what this show is about to be. Um, and I think a lot of people on Twitter, like the discourse changed a lot real quick. But like film Twitter loved that show. It is incredible. It is probably like it's my what did I put it for? So it's my fourth favorite show of the year. Um and it's so at first I was very confused because I was like, "Oh, are you remaking your movie?" But it's kind of a continuation. Like he's poking fun at himself.
I was gonna ask that because it was the same
Yeah,
director,
so
right?
he directed the Irma Vep movie, um, starring Maggie Chen, which is incredible. And it's basically the show is about a director remaking a movie that he's but in a mini series, so a bit like him. So like the Renee, which is the
I
director,
love that meta shit so
yeah. So
much.
he's the director of in the show, but he's basically him in real life. And then Mira, which is his like muse, is supposed to be Kristen Stewart. Like you can everything about Mira as a character. I was like, ooh, you are Kristen Stewart. You are a queer, like shy A-lister ish actress who does not want to be in the spotlight. I was like, you are okay.
Who's the actress that's playing that
Lisa
character?
Vikander.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
she's incredible in it. Yeah, it's great. It's watching it.
Is she like she's not doing an impression or anything of
No,
like
but you
Kristen
can
Stewart,
tell that
but
like she is supposed to be Kristen Stewart. Like you can tell that he wrote probably the role for like he says he wrote it for her, Elisa, but I think he wrote it for Kristen, but Kristen couldn't make it. Um
well, I mean, it was also because he's done two movies with
yeah,
her.
but he calls her her
It's
muse. Like he wants to work
yeah.
forever with her.
What I
And
mean,
she's in the
the
show.
way he
Like
the way he shoots her in both of those
yeah.
films, you can tell it's
Yeah,
valid.
she's in the show too. Kristen makes a cameo in it.
Okay.
Um which is great and I love her so much. But yeah, it's one of those shows that the more it would show and like the more we would advance in the story, I was like, this is so brilliant because he knows exactly what he's trying to say. He has a clear vision. He's not making fun of himself, but he's also very aware of who he is as a director. It's yeah. Yeah, it's
Okay. I think that's on Crave.
yeah.
I think that might be forget House of the Dragons. That sounds more up
No, it
my
is
alley.
right up your alley. It is so meta. It's he directed and wrote every single episode. Yeah,
Okay.
it's great. And like they're shooting like this mini series, but at some point the mini series becomes aware of itself. So like we're shooting like we're seeing visions of like the original show that they're shooting, like the original movie, but then it's shot with the actors of the mini series. It's great. Yeah. It's like the main character becomes blurred where she doesn't see herself as Mira anymore. She only sees herself as Irma Vep, and it's great.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm watching it.
yeah.
I'll start soon.
It's one of my favorite thing. And it's really well directed. Like I love how HBO is giving those big directors money and be like, do what the fuck you want. I don't think that's gonna happen anymore.
Oh, it's definitely not. I'm
But
I mean like I know we both loved like Guadagnino's We Are Who We Are.
yeah, that's not happening again.
Yeah, I that even thinking about it from 2 years ago, it's like I can't believe HBO was like, "Yeah, this sounds like a great
Yeah,
idea. Go ahead."
yeah.
So for my next one is a show definitely that I did not think would be on my list
Oh.
when I started watching it. Um, but Pretty Little Liars Original Sin
Have you even watched the
was
original?
I've seen
Okay.
episodes here and there.
Okay.
Um, I barely like jumping around, walking into the room as Alyssa's watching it in the couch.
Hmm.
But this show, I think it was also the fact that like when it came out, I had just finished watching the I Know What You Did Last Summer TV show adaptation
Yeah,
that
which we
Amazon did
both did not
last
like.
year. What a mess of a show.
Yeah,
Like it started off
so
so
good,
strong,
and it ends like a mess. Yeah.
and I was like, how did you I don't care. Like halfway through I just got bored. Um and Pretty Little Liars didn't do that. It kept everything so fun. The I'm trying to remember if the gore was that
No, it was
bad,
okay.
but
It
I
wasn't like explicit.
yeah, and it kind of continued to scratch that proper itch that I Know What You Did Last Summer wasn't able to
Yeah.
do. And a fun slasher is always
I
something I
think
run to.
my only criticism of that show is that it is so obvious who A is. Like,
I'm trying to
I
remember.
was
I
not
don't think it was
surprised
for
at
me.
all when it happened. And maybe it's because I've seen the original show and I know the tropes they go for and everything.
This is true.
But I was just not, when it ended, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and second season's coming soonish, and it's called Summer
Yeah,
School.
they're changing. So I'm excited because apparently they're changing like the team every season. It's gonna be the same character, obviously, but like it's gonna change.
What's your next one?
My next one would it's my favorite show of the year, White Lotus season 2. Have you
I,
finished
I
it?
I finished it. I
Okay.
went over to Jared's house for the finale, and it was me, him, and another friend, Sophia. We watched the finale. It was it was great. I loved it. We laughed. We were surprised. I don't know if we want to really spoil what happens, but it's
I
it's perfect for the
yeah.
show, and there were so many aspects that like we still to this day we randomly text each other and we're like, so I was thinking about this scene, and I don't know, even though it did feel it's one of the few actual HBO shows I've been able to keep up with every week. I'm always never able to do so, so it was nice to be part of the
Yeah,
conversation for once. Even I think I was a little behind at one
you
point,
were, yeah.
but still it was at the end of the day, I was like, I love these other ones and have been either have or been tempted to do rewatches of them. And
Mm,
with like White Lotus, I'm like, this was great. I wonder where they're going next year, like sort of thing.
yeah.
Like it wasn't,
I see, I think it's because I watched Survivor, so I know what he's basing his ideas off.
yeah.
So I love season 1. I think season 1 is great. Season 2, I could not believe how much he cranked everything up. And like Jennifer Coolidge, like she is so good in that show, but also like it's so stupid at time. And I was paranoid by the end. Like the Harper thing, I was so paranoid. And like it's it shouldn't work. Like when you tell someone the premise, everyone's like, "What?" But then you tell them, "No, it's about like these white rich people who are just living in their own world and do not understand the how the world works really. Like they're abusing these
Right.
poor workers in a way." But then also like season 2, like I mean it's a spoiler without being a spoiler, but like none of them really win.
Oh, absolutely not. And I don't
The
think
only people who
anybody
win,
really did for the first season.
yes, the only people who win are the fucking workers really.
Yeah. And even then, not all of them.
No. I just I'm excited for season 3. If they could keep going that show forever, I think he's gonna have to like I don't know if it would work where it's like a murder mystery every time because at one point he would be like, well, they're gonna close these fucking hotels so someone dies every time.
It's true.
Um,
And
but yeah,
you're like, how many more times are we going to go through this also?
yeah, I'm very interested where they go next. Especially now that like I wonder if he's gonna try and bring someone else back because Jennifer's not. I mean, I'm not, I don't want to spoil it too much, but I don't think she's coming back at all. So
Yeah, and I think well, they haven't announced if there's a third
no,
season yet,
they got renewed for
or no,
season 3. We
they
just
have,
don't know where they're going.
and they haven't announced any of the people
No.
either, so that's fine.
Yeah. I've seen like people online being like, well, in the second season, at one point they say, oh, we should do this vacation.
Like the
Harper,
Maldives.
yeah. So people are like, maybe they'll
Yeah,
go there with them, but I'm like, I think their story is concluded.
I think so too. And then on top of that, I don't think they specified that there was a White Lotus there.
Yeah,
I think they were just saying that we can go
yeah.
there.
I still think a ski resort. Someone said that online, and now that's all I want.
That would
Would
be
be
fun. That
so
would be a
fun.
very different thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Also, I think and that's what works very well about the show is that how I mean, even from like the hue and warm colors and tones of the cinematography of it all,
Yeah.
just they feel so
Yeah.
different from one another.
And like, I mean, we're gonna. I know I have that movie on my list, but we're gonna talk about Aubrey Plaza. But my God, is she having a year? What did she have in 2022? I
Yeah, it's we'll get to Aubrey shortly, but it's been a joy
to
to
see,
sort of
yeah.
see
Especially we
this.
both like watch Parks and Rec, right? So like to see where she is now makes me so happy.
Yeah, especially with her. I also told my brother this about her being a host for SNL in a few
I
weeks, and he's like, she's gonna make things so awkward, and I was like, yeah, she's gonna love it. It's
That's
gonna be
great.
amazing.
Like her interviews are some of the only interviews I watch because she makes things so weird and I love her.
When she admitted recently, I think it was on Fallon, how her and one of
And
the
Megan,
co-stars
because
had got
Megan went on the
lost.
show before and didn't talk about the fact
Yeah,
that they were high after they were tripping.
yeah, they were on
Yeah.
shrooms.
I mean, have you
What a
watched her
great
Drew
time.
Barrymore interview? It is the funniest thing I've ever
No, not
watched.
yet. I've
It
been
is
wanting
so
to.
funny. Yeah.
Okay.
What's next on yours?
My next one was Reboot.
Which I haven't finished yet.
It's not quite as meta as the show you had
Hmm.
mentioned, but it is still close enough, and it's about like making a TV show in today's day and age. And I just love the cast, and that's why I'm going back through a rewatch right now, and it's just a lot of fun, and it's not a it has that whole understanding of network television, but
Hmm.
also the fact that like it's able to break a few more barriers because it's not on it, and because it's created by the same person who had done Modern Family, and you can feel some of the closeness aspects of them all,
Mm,
and and it and it works, but it still feels part of this, and I'll bring this up later as well during the movie list, but it's this ongoing almost millennial point of view that is about traumatic familial relationships that are being mended
yeah.
over time, and it's a surge of it, but it does it really well. It's funny, it makes sense, like it's a good I probably wouldn't watch the show that they're making, but like I'd be interested.
Yeah. I think I'm on episode 4 or something.
Yeah, it starts off strong, dips a little, and
Yeah.
then gets better.
I mean, I'm gonna finish it. I love that whole cast. Like, you give me Johnny Knoxville and I'm in.
That's also true.
Like, yeah.
And I like I've seen a lot of things that Johnny Knoxville's in. I will talk about something else later that he's also in, but I think it's his as far as like off the top of my head, it's my favorite thing I've seen him
Yeah.
in where he's actually performing
Yeah.
acting.
He's not playing himself. Well, he is kind of, but
Yeah,
he's not playing himself.
exactly.
Yeah. We can talk about my.
Do you have any
I have
more?
one more.
Okay, we both do. So you're
I mean,
next.
we don't have to talk a lot about it, but I know we both love it. Yellow Jackets. I'm
I'm so excited for season 2. We'll
March.
just say
Yeah.
that.
I
It's so soon.
I remember watching it. I was excited. Like I came in late to Yellow Jackets. The hype. I think I started in the middle of the season and I just binged it all, and I watched a finale live. Basically, it's just so good. It's so wild. It's it's well acted. Melanie Linsky is incredible. It has my favorite line of season. Like
It's the best.
it's
It's the
the
best
way he
line reading of the
delivers it.
year.
There's no book club. It's just
It,
so. Uh,
sometimes if I'm like feeling a little down, I just go on Twitter and I search up that line, and there's so many like gifs and
it's
like
so
videos of it, and I just
good.
watch them
Yeah.
all.
I mean, we don't have to talk a lot about it. I'm including it simply because it I need to talk about it more, but yeah.
That's fair. That's fine. For the last one for my list, I think you watched an episode of it. I don't think you. I know you didn't
No,
finish
I
it,
didn't finish it. I
but
think I'm only on episode 2, yeah.
I don't even know how. Like, I had to do a brief paragraph write up for Exclaim about this show. I didn't even know what I was
Mm,
like gonna say, but the rehearsal is so good.
mhm.
It is so. I don't remember, maybe across all three seasons of Barry, but like the last show I felt kind of worried and scared by and also laughing, and then the next episode I'd cry. Like, it
Mhm.
was such a bizarre experiment of like how people are, and like that mentality of like, oh, I gotta, the whole premise is that what if you can predict how people would respond, so you're just rehearsing it so that when you do it for real life, it's not as bad, you're not as scared of it. And it's a lot. There's so much. I feel like people can watch it and go in any direction from it, but it is captivating and hilarious and almost terrifying.
Yeah. It's so good. I've watched the first episode. I loved
And
it.
like, I did not watch Nathan for You either. I've This was my introduction to Nathan
Yeah,
Fielder.
me too. It's the first thing I've watched that he's done. Um, I'm gonna go back to it at some point. I just didn't. At one point, I had to choose what I would watch, and that was the one I stopped.
That's fair.
Yeah, that was TV.
And now we're gonna try and tackle our movies.
Yeah, we have a
Um,
lot of the same in movies, so that's gonna be a bit
we
like faster.
we do. It will be simpler.
Yeah. Okay. So for movies, we're gonna go with alphabetical, and then at the end, we're not gonna talk. We're gonna do our top three. Um, our three
Yeah, we pretty much have
favorites.
like three films that are tied as number
Yeah,
one. So we'll touch on those
at the
at
end.
the end.
Okay. So we're doing 20 movie. So alphabetical. I have Babylon, The Batman, Bodies, 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 Bones and All, Brother, Emily the Criminal, The Fablemans, Glass Onions, A Knives Out Mystery, The Menu, Nope, Scream, Tar, Top Gun Maverick, Triangle of Sadness, Turning Red, Women Talking, The Wonder, and then my top three, which are tied at number one, would be After Sun, Banshees of Inisherin, and Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah. So in compared to our TV list,
We
there's
have
gonna be a
so
lot
many
of
similar.
crossover. Um, so again, I'm gonna go on it. I debated including this one as one of my top three or a different one, but we'll get to that because I actually just rewatched the first one earlier this morning. Um, but again, starting alphabetically, and then my favorites: After Sun, The Banshees of Inisherin, uh, Barbarian, The Batman, Cyrano, Emily the Criminal, The Fablemans, It Is in Us All, Jackass Forever, Nope, The Northman, On the Count of Three, and I'm cheating. I'm including Gerard Carmichael's special stand-up Rothaniel,
Yeah.
um, Pearl, Something in the Dirt, Turning Red, Watcher, Women Talking.
Yeah.
And then for my three favorites, staying alphabetical, Bones and All, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Scream.
Yeah.
So we'll skip After Sun
Yeah.
for, well, I guess we'll skip After Sun and
Yeah.
Banshees since they're both in your top three. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about Barbarian.
Go for it.
I remember seeing Barbarian at a pre-TIFF screening for kind of a Midnight Madness premiere. Zach Kreger was there for it for a little Q&A. It terrified me. I still think that it's the scariest film I've seen of the year. The way it plays with suspense and tension, and for people who watch a lot of horror films, it's very clear that they knew that. So it's a lot of like anticipating what happens, and it's waiting, and that's the part that gets everyone.
I remember you talking about it.
Yeah, we were walking
To a screening
around.
No, we were going
to a breakfast.
Yeah, we were
thing.
going to breakfast.
Okay. What's your next one?
My first one would be Babylon.
Or your first?
Which,
okay.
Yeah. I am not the biggest fan of his. I like Whiplash. Pretty much it. I think La La Land is okay. I did not like First Man. So I did not go in with high expectation. I went in thinking this is a 3.5 hour movie. And you had seen it before I watched it.
I did see it a few weeks prior.
Yeah. So I went in and for the first time since Whiplash, I could see a style. I was like, he has a vision of what he wants to do. The cinematography is incredible in that movie. And I don't think I've seen that from him. Even La La Land had good moments, but it was not consistent, right? You love La La Land more
we
than
have
I
a
do.
little bit. I do, and we do have a little bit of a difference opinion in terms of each film to each film. Yeah. But I do agree with you a lot. He is. Babylon would be number 21. Like it's like right there. It would. I did rewatch it. I loved it on a rewatch. But the truth is, there are other films that I wanted to discuss a bit more, and
I didn't think it was going to make the list when I watched it, and then
I didn't think it was going to make either of our lists.
The thing is, I don't think it made it the first day, but I have not been able to stop thinking about that final sequence. And the more I thought about it, the more the whole movie made sense to me.
Okay, we need to discuss this. One, so if we were able to call a friend, I would call Chris to join us to talk about this movie because he and I have texted a few times about it, and this ending is what the fuck. I don't understand it. We don't. It just kind of feels out of place, and even though I do, Whiplash think is still my favorite film of his.
Yeah, same.
La La Land, I do really like that whole, and I know it's because of outside perspective of it, kind of or influence, but the whole Oscar thing with Moonlight kind of put a bad taste in my mouth for a while, and then I rewatched it not that long ago. It still works. I think it was the first time I wasn't like. I've also seen it many times, but it wasn't the first time it was the first time I didn't cry at the ending. I don't care for First Man.
Yeah, me neither.
I really I wanted to, but Babylon just shook me, and that opening is
incredible.
It's non-stop. Did you saw Climax?
Yes.
Yes. It reminded me a lot of that.
Yeah.
And I still don't see a style. I really don't.
Really?
I still
I think I
didn't
see a
see
style
it with
more
Babylon.
now with this one, and I don't know if he has one. I just think in this one at least he was consistent.
Yeah. I think he's great at tackling the genre he's working in, like including the ending of La La Land, where it has the whole
I will.
shot like the old
Oh yeah,
school
yeah.
musicals and stuff, but he knows how people did it before, and it feels like this is why I also brought up Climax, but it feels like he's copying other filmmakers
Okay.
that have done it
Hmm.
also really well, which it's nothing
Bad.
necessarily wrong with
Yeah.
that, but I just don't see a style yet, and that's fine. I still very much like his work, and once again, I'm looking forward to whatever he's doing in the future. Not that First Man spoiled it that much, but it kind of did.
Hmm.
And it's such a wild studio film.
Yeah. It's. I will say I love his fascination with failure because it's rare that you see Hollywood movies about Hollywood where it's actually about them failing.
It's so mean. It's so
It's
upsetting,
so
and it's
interesting to me because this is the second time he's done a film about Hollywood where they fail.
yeah. And I think it's you have when talking about Babylon, I feel like you have to sort of include La La Land with it
Hmm.
because they feel like it's the meaner sister to La
It
La
is,
Land
yes.
almost. And to me, all the thing, like watching those characters in Babylon, just kept making me think of Emma Stone's audition scene,
Yep.
where she's talking, like singing about the dreamers and everything. Like these are what they're doing, and people get. I don't know how much we really want to discuss, but I loved, especially on a rewatched. All these characters felt prophetic, like they were destined to end up where they do,
Yeah.
right? And even with Manny's character, who at first being the outsider, completely not connected to the film industry, being brought to their place, he's the person you want to root
Hmm.
for up until his last scene with Sydney, and at that point on, you're like, no, you're too far gone.
Yeah. I will say though, I kind of want to see him direct a horror movie because that Toby Maguire sequence is terrifying.
It's it's so funny because that scene, people have joked about it, but it's like it's very reminiscent to scenes in Barbarian,
Oh.
because there's a moment in which they're just going deeper and
Hmm.
deeper past the cellar, and you're like, you have no idea what's going to happen
Yeah.
next.
Yeah. I
Uh,
think Babylon. I want to rewatch it. Maybe when it's not in theaters anymore, because I don't. I work in a movie theater. I don't need to go another 3.5 hours in a movie theater on my day off. Um.
movies are so long. Can movies stop being so long?
Or I don't know. Look, I will say though, I did not. The only reason why I felt the link is because I needed to go to the bathroom. Like I did not feel the 3.5 hour length time of that movie. I was in it.
Yeah,
I was really rooting for those characters. Yeah, I think that movie, with time, I think we're gonna appreciate it more and more.
I think so. Did you include the Batman on
I
your
did.
list?
That would be my next one too.
Okay, it's mine next too.
All right.
I didn't know that I needed Robert, like a emo Robert Pattinson as Batman. Let's be real. Listening to Nirvana to open a movie and close a movie, I believe it's. I never realized how much I needed something until that film
Yeah, it's not
started.
perfect. I have a lot of issues with it.
I please tell me some. I've seen it three
Okay,
times in theaters. I haven't watched it since, because I watched it opening night and every Friday after that.
it is half an hour too long. The ending, I was just like, okay, let's get going.
The
Um,
ending's a different movie.
mm,
The ending is a different
yeah,
movie. Like
it
the
is.
ending is
It's
from a
setting
Batman
up,
film.
yeah, it's setting up a different film, and I'm just like, okay, everything with the Joker did not need it. I understand he wants to set up his universe and everything. We did not need it. I did not like. I'm happy that it's Barry. Like I love him. We're gonna talk about it once we talk with about Banshees, but I did not need it at all. I was just like this.
I agree. I feel like they shot for it too soon because they even mentioned like I don't think they want to use Barry and Joker for number two.
No, they want it later, and I think he's might have like cameos in the future, like they're doing the Arkham series and everything. But yeah,
Yeah, I didn't need that introduction, and it is a bit, it is long as the second and third watches were like okay, come on,
yeah,
but it is still.
it's incredible though. Matt Reeves just doesn't miss. It's I don't know. I'm excited for anything Matt Reeves does. He can touch like I know people are like, "Oh, what are they going to happen now with the whole DCU?" I don't want them to put him in the DCU. Just let him do whatever the hell he wants.
Well, so far they're saying that James Gunn is going to just be like, okay, Matt, you're over there.
Yeah,
Like we're not touching you.
which,
You're continuing doing whatever you want to do,
yeah, which is what I want.
essentially.
It's it's just so good, and the way like we both love Paul Dano. We've watched. I've watched a lot of his things.
I think I've watched a good chunk of it.
Yeah,
I went to, I don't know if you had seen it, but I saw not the premiere, but I saw that his film at TIFF as well. Wildlife.
yeah, I remember you talking about it. I haven't watched it yet.
It was good.
Yeah, I remember you.
It was
But
a good
like
like drama.
the fact that this man played Riddle, and then we're gonna talk about it later. But the dad and Fablemans in the same year, that's range.
Yeah, that's a lot, and because he's also writing a graphic novel or comics for it, his
Yeah,
character,
he's
right?
year one for the Riddler.
I want to read those. He is wonderful, and I don't think he's coming back to that universe, but if he would, I'd be
I
down.
mean, he's not dead,
He's not dead.
and like Batman doesn't kill anyone. That's his whole character. That's why he has such a big list of villains. It's because he just fucking imprisoned them in a prison where everyone breaks out all the time.
Yeah, my guy needs to get better at that. Like he needs to find a better prison, or I don't know. Some people
Yep.
make an exception, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, the Batman is incredible.
Okay. So
Um
what's the one
the
after
next
that
on
for
my
you?
list would be Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. Which I didn't think I would like more than you did. But I love that
Yeah,
movie.
I saw Bodies at South by
Yeah.
Southwest, and I remember that room being so electric, reacting and laughing and screaming at the audacity of what was happening on screen. Like there is that aspect of it where I'm like, I just fucking just sit down for like 2 seconds and everything's gonna be fine. Like it's, especially with everything that ends up happening in the film as it just keeps going
Yeah.
and going, and you're
We're
like,
not
guys,
going to
please,
spoil it,
please.
but we're both pretty good at guessing who's done it.
Yeah, and I wasn't. That was a surprise,
And
and
I could not figure it out. And when the ending happened, I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I was just like, and like the line deliveries in that movies is incredible. Like, let's just talk about Rachel. She is the moment. She is everything. I I will watch anything that woman does. Um, I
it was everyone.
yeah.
I trying to remember some of the other characters in
Well, the actresses. Well, you have Amedla, M-
Maria.
Maria. You have Chase.
It's a movie that unfortunately the my issue was that I just only saw it the one time,
Mm,
and I haven't gone back to watch it yet. And
yeah,
if it was fresher in my mind,
maybe.
it was on my like work in progress list, but it was just other things that I wanted to sort of say again that was a bit different. But it
Yeah.
was still, I still remember watching it and then leaving there texting everybody being like, I can't wait till you get to see
Yeah.
this.
I mean, it's for me like it's a type of horror movie thriller that is made right down for me. Like it's the type of humor I like and everything. I love it. Yeah. What's next on yours now?
The next one for me is Cyrano.
I haven't watched it yet. I know it's on Prime, I believe, so I need to watch it, but
That is one thing that for most of these I've rewatched, and Cyrano is one that I also saw 3 times. I think I stupidly went to go see it by myself, like my birthday weekend, and it was just an emotional wreck by the end of it, unsurprisingly. But it's so the music is so good. It is wonderful because it's the music is done by the National,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not the type of music that I was first thinking of that was going in. And Peter Dinklage as Cyrano is remarkable.
Yeah.
He went on afterwards. I think he performed on Stephen Colbert and ended up saying that his voice isn't necessarily a pretty voice, but it's Peter Dinklage, so it's like the gruff of it also has its own
Mm-hmm.
added element to it, and it just works. And also Kelvin Harrison Jr., who we've loved from before and will continue to do so in another
Mm-hmm.
movie that's coming out this year. He is great in it, and there's so many aspects. Everyone knows the story of Cyrano if they're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, if even if you're not familiar with the name of it, you've seen it in some form
Yeah.
somewhere.
I might watch that
And
this weekend.
it's also nice because like Joe Wright is doing a good movie again. Like
True.
like Pan, oh my god! But like, we knew it was in him, but he just was like, okay. It felt like people were trying, and it's sweet. It's loving.
Yeah.
It's something I really really adore and still listen to.
I think my next one is on your top five, top three, so I won't talk about it yet. Right? Bones is on your
Yes.
yeah. So then it
Yeah.
would be a movie that I watched because you texted being like, "Oh my god!" after during TIFF, which is Brother. I'm including it even though it hasn't released yet.
Yeah. I went to the TIFF
Yeah,
premiere and floored,
yeah. It wasn't even on my
completely
list
destroyed.
for TIFF, and then you were just praising it, and I'm so glad I went because that
I
was so good.
I think I went just because I was like looking for a ticket. Like
Yeah,
I was trying to find something to. I don't remember what I saw afterwards. I'm pretty sure it was a Midnight Madness, maybe,
yeah,
because I did most of them. But I was like, yeah, sure, I'll see that. I've seen the director, Virgo
yeah.
Clement. Yeah, I've seen his name in other things,
Hmm.
especially knowing. I believe he's from Toronto,
Yeah,
GTA.
I think he's from Scarborough.
If not, it's fine.
Yeah, they just say Toronto, but I think that's yeah,
Yeah, I mean, people say it all mixes together if you're not
yeah.
from the GTA. But the thing is, like, it was more so I was aware of his name as some sort
Uh
of
huh.
cultural Canadian icon in some capacity that I've never really watched. So I was like, yeah, let's go to that. And what a film.
Yeah,
What a gut punch. I got to see it a second time
you did. Yeah.
not that long ago, and it still is as impactful. You don't want the movie to end. And while it is another film about black folk dying too early,
Hmm.
it still resonates. And because it's that's not the point of the film. It's everything else. And like there's aspects of the fact that it takes place in the early 2000s, but it feels universal to the folks that were here before that and the
Yeah.
people who showed up after them. Like it is
It
an
has my
unfortunate ongoing
yeah, I think
thing.
it has one of my favorite performance of the year in it with Aaron Pierre.
He's
He,
so good.
I yeah, any other year I think he would have my favorite performance of the year, but then we'll talk about later. But Paul Mescal and After Sun is just on another level to me. Um, but yeah, it's just it's so good.
Yeah, I'm not ready to talk about Paul Mescal yet, but it is really good. And I think his brother, who
Yeah, what's his name? Let me
Lamar Johnson,
yeah, he's also incredible.
he
I mean, everyone in
he's
that
also
movie is incredible.
it's true. Everyone really shines, but for me, it was something it was the juxtaposition of both
Hmm.
brothers. Um, one who was so hidden and secretive, and the other one who showed everything through
Yeah.
his eyes.
Yeah.
It's just remarkable to sort of to watch, and both of them are, in upcoming things that we want to see. You've seen the episodes so far. I haven't. I mean, probably, hopefully, by the time this is live, I've seen the rest of the show. Um, and I won't ask how he is in it yet, but I
He's great.
am excited for
Yeah,
that,
no,
and
he's great.
I'm sure, and because Aaron Pierre is also in
Underground Railroad.
Lion. Yes, but I was gonna specify Lion
Lion
King
King,
2,
yeah.
or
Which,
whatever
yeah.
the hell the Barry Jenkins
Which,
sequel
yeah.
is going to be called.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm excited for whatever they do
Yeah.
next. It's great. I didn't include it on my list. It's still impactful, and I think part of it is also like we don't even have a release date at the moment,
Yeah,
so
no.
I'm not.
That's why I was, but then it was so high in my list. I was like, I have to include it. Like yeah,
Yeah, we wait for the year it gets released, but we also just say fuck it and make
yeah.
our own rules as
That's
we
the
go.
only one that this year I was like, yeah, I have to include it.
Mine is Emily the Criminal.
Yeah, that would be my next one too.
Perfect. Aubrey Plaza. Holy shit.
The fact that you only watched it because I said I need to watch this movie before the end of the year is insane
It's
to me.
it, it's because it like here's an awful annoying thing I do. I make like mini lists everywhere.
Yeah.
So I would make like, oh, these are the things I need to watch before I finalize my list. And then I'll make it on my phone. And then I'll make it on Google Docs.
Yeah.
But then I never cross reference. So Emily the Criminal, that and Decision to Leave were the two films that I waited ish as best as I could
Yeah.
to finishing my list. Um, and I'm so glad that I saw both of them. And Emily the Criminal just like snuck in there
It
so quick.
it is possibly the most consistent character written of the year. Like every decision she makes in that movie is absolutely who her character is.
I think it because of the like tension of the crime drama
Yeah.
aspect of it all. It's so easy to suggest to folks. Like I know it's not
Yeah.
the next movie. I think we both might have on the list after this. I'll get to this then, but like that's such an easy suggestion, and
Hmm.
Emily the Criminal feels the same in a very aggressive way.
Yeah. She is so good. Like, and I texted you this after I watched it. And I was like, I am so happy that she is not getting typecast anymore. Because after Parks and Rec, she was doing all these stupid comedies where she would play the same fucking role. And I was like, you have so much potential. And then she did Legend.
I love Legion. I remember that watching that first season and thinking that her and
Dan Stevens.
wow, I'm so upset that I forgot his
I
name for a
know, I
second.
could
But yeah,
hear you not knowing his name. And I was like,
wow.
wow.
I was just thinking of him recently too. But the two of
Yeah.
them together, I was like, they're getting nominated, and that show never was. And I
Yeah,
can
it
see
didn't do
why.
much
It's
noise.
very yeah.
It's
I still haven't finished the show
yeah,
myself.
it's she like after that, and then she just like started getting cast in all these roles, and I was like, they're so different, and she has so much potential. I would not be surprised in if like 3 or 4 years she is an Oscar contender and she's at the top of everything because she is one of those actresses where you see her. I mean, I think she's a front runner for the Golden Globes.
Yeah.
She is one of those actresses that you just look at and you just know you're gonna get a good performance, even if the movie's crap. I don't know. I love her so much. I need her in everything. Like, I mean, every year she has a movie where I'm just like, why are you not like the biggest movie star in the world? Like this to me is just like, why are you not like? I don't know if it's the movie she chooses.
Yeah, because what was it 2021 or 2020 when she had Black Bear?
2020, I believe. I don't think Black
Okay.
Bear was last year. I don't remember. I think Emily the Criminal is my second favorite performance after Black Bear. I don't think anything is gonna touch Black Bear for a very long time for her.
I don't think so, but it's also because it's two performances,
Yeah,
right? That's also part of it,
yeah.
so that's unfair.
But Emily the Criminal, what a movie! If you haven't watched it, it's on Netflix. Go watch it. It's important in terms of like social commentary that it's doing,
Right.
but also like it's so tense. Like I was stressed the whole time.
Yeah, it is one of those. It's not on par with like a Safdie film.
No,
Like it's not Good Time or Uncut Gems and that extreme of it, but it's like a light version of it that
yeah,
makes it much. When it ends, you're not just like shaking.
yeah,
you know,
it's good.
definitely. Yeah, it's really good. Um, so the next one we also have the same.
Fablemans.
Yeah,
Yeah, I. And okay, I will say something. When I told you, you were like, "What the fuck, Ariane?" I am not the biggest Steven Spielberg fan. I think he's okay. I think he's done good movies. I don't know. I never grew up on his movie.
crazy.
I know. I never grew up on his movies. I don't really care for Jurassic Park. I don't. Yeah, I've never been a massive fan of his.
So many people just turned off
I know.
this recording.
I know. I I like him. I just am not the fan that everyone is. This movie was made for me as a weird kid growing up who was making movies. I don't know. I walked away from this being like, I get it.
I think Spielberg is a filmmaker, and people can talk about him forever. But he's someone that is so easy to forget sometimes because he's just a staple at this
Yeah.
point. That like even though it is populist filmmaking, if you want to say it and make that criticism, it's still really, really well made. Uh, like the stuff he does as he's sleeping is better than most people's entire
Mm.
filmography sometimes. Um, I've now seen it 3 times.
I've seen it twice.
I went I went to my screening and then I went to the People's Choice
Mm-hmm.
screening, I think the next day. And then I also saw it a few weeks ago, beginning of December, once it was in theaters. And it's just, you don't feel the runtime.
No.
It just gets better. It's very, I know how much a movie means to me that during a watch, even through not emotional scenes, I find myself tearing up.
Mm-hmm.
And those were aspects of the Fablemans where it was like the most unimportant portions of it was like, why is this getting to me? Like it's just the sheer filmmaking of it all and
Yeah.
the connection I have to those on screen. And I think,
Well, I was scared at first when I rewatched it that I would not like it as much because we both saw it at TIFF with an audience that was incredible, right?
yeah,
So I was scared that when I watched it in theaters, it would be like, well, I don't have the same like people around me who are like also vibing with this as much. And my theater was not that full. Like it didn't do well in theater.
it did not.
But oh my god, it doesn't matter. It is so good. It is. I wish the what's his name? The kid who plays
Gabriel
yeah,
LaBelle,
he should be in contention for awards. He's not. It's so stupid.
it's so subtle and
Yeah.
like he's what 19,
Mm-hmm.
genius. And like I, I when I love a film, I just watch as many like interviews with them as possible,
Mm-hmm.
essentially. So, um, watching and seeing the numerous sort of discussions with him and Spielberg about what it was like to play Spielberg, and of saying how they would go on Zoom and just have
Mm-hmm.
conversations for hours and sort of like discuss them. And there are moments were like looking at him, I'm just like that's Spielberg on screen. Like I'm watching baby Spielberg. Like it's so and other people are like they don't look that similar and I'm like
That doesn't
I
matter.
don't yeah, it's like I don't know if it's somewhere between the actual looking similar of it all or the expressions and everything that I'm just like I see it and I'm like, "Oh
Yeah.
no, that's him."
Yeah. It's great. I. It's also the type of movie that like I don't know. I didn't know how it would do with a like regular audience. But then, like, I know people who don't really love movies as much as we do, who have watched it and loved it. I think it's
Yeah.
just universal. Like, it's a family story.
I told my mom to watch it and she loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew she would.
Yeah.
But that's part of why I was like you, to have that the family drama of it all, that's
Mm-hmm.
so much to unpack alone in that portion.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so revealing, and it's also funny that I'm just like, Spielberg made his own biopics, so no one will ever have to again.
Yeah. I don't think you have my next one on your list.
I don't. I
Yeah.
have seen it enough times though.
Um so my next one is Glass Onion, which I think I liked a lot more than you did.
Clearly, but
Yeah.
also because you're not are you a big fan of the first one?
I love the first one.
Okay,
I just think
because
the
I know
second
some
one is
people who
better.
like, yeah, I know some people who weren't big fans of the first
I
one but
love the
love
first
prefer
one.
the second.
I just think the second one has better characters, better the like better a better arc.
I
It's
don't know.
tighter.
I keep going back and forth between them because, like, I think both movies are super easy to just watch.
Yeah.
Also, like, I watched the first one again the week leading up to
Glass
the
Onion.
re-release in theater,
Yeah.
and I watched it, and then the next, like, 2 days later, I rewatched it again because Alyssa wasn't there with me when we watched it.
Mm.
Like, it was, and I was like, yeah, it's very easy to watch, and I love those characters, and I think what it comes down to is part of that, where I just loved and connected to Marta so
So
much more.
okay, that's fair.
I still think that the second one is so much fun, and it's been easy to. I saw it at TIFF, then I rewatched it during that
1 week,
theatrical run
which
at
is
the Lightbox,
I'm still so
which
mad
was
about. Yeah.
upsetting, but like that show was sold out,
I'm
and
so
like every
annoyed. Like
screen was sold out.
how much money they paid for it and like only releasing it 1 week in I think Toronto only had like 20 theaters that were showing it.
Because I think it played at Varsity for
Yeah, so
2.
in all of Ontario, I think there was only like 20 Cineplex total,
Yeah,
plus the light box. So I was just like, it was so good, and like it was made to watch in a theater.
that's the biggest issue, was that also rewatching it at home,
It doesn't hit the same.
it doesn't hit the
No.
same. But Knives Out to me on rewatches at home don't bother me as much. So
Mm,
I don't
that's
know why.
fair.
And the other thing with Glass Onion, which I have mentioned recently, is that you can also tell in Knives Out, but you can tell how much online Ryan Johnson is.
Mm, yeah.
Which is fine. It's funny because it's Ryan Johnson, so like his fans are also very Twitter based,
Yeah.
but it's something that felt more evident than any of his films prior.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that if Netflix didn't butchered the release, it would be an Oscar contender, just like Knives Out was. I think Janelle Monae would be in the conversation for supporting actress.
Yeah,
Because she is incredible. Janelle Monae, I think, is my favorite actress, like singer turned actress, since probably Cher.
I sometimes forget that she did music.
Oh my god, I don't. I love her albums.
Well, I listened to one way before I even was familiar with
Yeah,
her, and I'll still listen to her from time to time. But I'm more frequently seeing her in films than I am listening to
yeah.
music.
I think she's great. I love how much fun Ryan Johnson is having with those movies, and I think that's why I love Glass Onion so much, is because you can tell how much fun he's having.
He makes writing murder mysteries look so
I
easy.
know.
It's
I'm
insane.
excited for his TV show that he's doing, Murder Mystery with Natasha Leon.
Oh, Poker Face?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The trailer came out yesterday,
I
I
don't want
think.
to watch the trailer. I just want to go in blind.
They show very brief, so I don't even know enough because it is like a murder, like a mystery of the week,
Yeah.
also, right? So like all the huge cast
Yeah. I
is,
mean, look,
probably there
you
for an
just
episode
give
at a
me
time.
Natasha Leon and I'm there. Doesn't need to
Yeah,
be
pretty
anyone
much.
else. Yeah. Yeah. What's next on yours?
Okay, so the next one on mine is It Is in Us All. I The title is wordy. Um, I saw it at for South by, but here in Toronto before I went to Austin. I watched it on my laptop for a screener, and it blew me away. It was a film that I just sort of like. I was like, yeah, that sounds interesting. it, and it's about a guy sort of getting who's going back home after one of his relatives, his aunt, I believe, had passed away in Scotland. He's not his family's from there, um, and but he never really had a connection to it. So it was like him going there after only being there once as a child, sort of discovering himself.
Hmm.
It's brilliant. I believe it's an actress that was the writer director, Antonio Campbell Hughes.
Okay.
It was just really good, and I wasn't expecting much from it. And it's something that has sat with me since then. And I've since seen, like, honestly, I feel like my review when I put out for film cred for it was like one of the only ones I saw. I didn't see that many people discussing it. And that's another reason why I was like, I need to not forget about this movie and sort of keep talking about it and
Hmm.
track it down once it is out, because I think it is something that people will really like and appreciate, but there hasn't been much buzz about it yet, and I don't even know if it's been picked up yet or
Mm.
anything like that.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about it.
Okay, what's on your next
My
one?
next watch, which I rewatched like 2 days ago, which moved it up even more, was The Menu. I love that movie so much.
I don't I wanted to so bad.
Hmm.
I still can't. I don't know why. I like so much of it. It's a fun watch. It's it was just something about it that never really clicked for me, I guess.
On rewatch, I think I laughed more, which was surprising because I watched it in like the first press screening where like everyone was there.
Yeah, it is funny. I think I did laugh more too this time. It helped because there was a lot of hidden dialogue,
Ugh.
almost of like little
I
parts,
mean,
like the
it's
subtitles of
so
it all helped.
absurd. Like there's moments where I was like, "There's no way they're doing all these," and like the way it's. I think the editing of that movie makes the movie right.
Yes.
It's very stylish in the way it edits everything. I mean, the cast itself, like Hung Shao, what an actress.
I think I saw someone on Twitter saying that her performance in that was better than her performance in The Whale, and like I think I
Um,
agree.
I agree too. I
They're
think she has more
they're
to do in this than she did in The Will.
yeah, they're two very
Very different.
completely different
Yeah,
performances, and I think it's because like what she has to do in The Whale is, I don't want to say which one's tougher or not, but like
it's a
from an
lot
outside
more.
perspective
Yeah,
that you may not be aware of the acting process, it seems tougher.
yeah.
I can say that much. There's more going on, but the menu is just so
She has been so much fun. Like,
it's wonderful. I want her to do so much
I
more.
know.
I'm so excited.
It's I don't know like why I it's a type of movie that is made for me. Like it's my type of movie. The Menu, like from the moment the first trailer dropped, I just knew that movie was gonna be in my top. There was no question about it. There's a few movie every year that I just watch and I know it's gonna be like a movie that I will love, and that was one of them.
Yeah, I think I still had too high expectations. Like I was
Mm,
excited of it all already. Just the cast alone, I'm obsessed with Anya Taylor Joy.
mm-hmm.
Right. So I was excited on that front, and then the director, who I've recently become more familiar
Yeah.
with after finally binging and getting through Succession this year,
Mm-hmm.
or last year, I guess. And there was aspects of it. I forget who wrote it, but I think everything on paper seemed up my alley, and then watching it was, you also had very high
Yeah, I
praise
did.
coming out of at a TIFF. So I think my expectations were just astronomically high. And the greatest thing about that first watch was I had no idea where any of this was really going
Yeah.
until it ended, and it's it's very rewatchable. I just didn't love it.
It's on Disney Plus, so
That's how I rewatched it. I saw it
yeah.
2 days ago as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we watched it. We watched it the same day. I remember.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Okay, what's next on yours?
Jackass Forever. This is it feels left field. It definitely feels left field. It's
It's a good movie though.
not it's not a movie that I reviewed it for Exclaim. It was the first film I did for them, and I wasn't expecting much. I grew up watching the Jackass show and the previous films. I even watched like Bam Margera's previous show CKY. My brother was
Mm-hmm.
very obsessed with those, and he made me watch them all when I was way too young to do so. And I have a weird soft spot for them, even though I'm like extremely disgusted by majority of what
Mm-hmm.
happens on screen. But there was something about watching it that was so different this time around, and I don't know if I would now retro like in hindsight go back and watch the old ones and feel the same thing. But there's such a brother family
They are.
like element to it all, that how much they love each other, and these weirdos that are outcasts and everything that just
Yeah.
end up finding each other by harming one another and themselves. And
Yeah.
it's something that both is something they cheer for each other and hate, and like it's such a weird dynamic that is I don't know, maybe like Stockholm syndrome in a way also, but
Yeah.
uh, it's still so fun. That whole thing about Jackass Forever and Women Talking winning the best ensemble, like the fact that it's true, that's the thing
Yeah.
that gets me most. I love it way more than I expected to do so. And the inclusion of the new cast who are like influenced by them as
Yeah.
well, it's just it's so good. It's so smart.
Mm-hmm.
Who knew we would have Tyler the Creator in Jackass Forever? But what's your next one?
My next one is Nope.
Yeah, same.
I I mean, do we need to talk about Jordan Peele? Like, what a director.
I
I
was let down the first time I saw it.
I
I don't think
remember.
you were.
No, I
I was
loved it from
very
the
let
first
down.
second I watched it. I've seen it 3 times now, I think.
I have two now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know how early you went. I
I
went,
went
I
the
think,
first
opening
day.
weekend. Yeah.
I went the Friday night.
Um, I think same. I think I may just went to a later show or
Yeah.
something. But it, I don't know. I think it always ends up. It was at first it was that expectation thing because he had put out two trailers for the film, and the first trailer looked more traditional horror, while the second very much went about the spectacle of it all.
Mm-hmm.
So I got my hopes on the first aspect, and I just kept waiting for more of that type of horror instead of what we got.
Mm-hmm.
But then I watched it a second time with my mom, and I think we started at like 11 o'clock at night, and
Yeah.
it's a long movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna tap out at one point, and I 15 minutes in, I was like, why am I so much more captivated? Like it was so I was so invested, and it was played better for me on a rewatch. Um, and then I also saw it a third time at the Cinesphere for TIFF.
Yeah, I remember you went to that.
Awful seats, but it was still a good time.
I I don't know. I don't know if I didn't have as much high expectation as you did.
No, definitely not.
No, because like I haven't seen Us. It's not a like I've heard great things about it. I don't think it's my type of movie. So I didn't go in like with the expectations of everything. I just went in completely blind. I had seen the 2 trailers and that's it. I It was one of those movies where I had no idea where anything was going at every time. And
Yeah.
It
It
also has,
definitely keeps you on your toes.
yes, and it has some incredible performances. And I don't know if it's you who called it that, but it is his jaw.
I think at most folks are,
Yeah.
and because he very much it's all about spectacle,
Yeah.
and that was the other thing was on that rewatch realizing how frequently they end up saying it too. That I was like, how did I miss this
Yeah.
the first time?
Yeah.
Almost,
It's good.
and like that's just I think like even story traditionally wise, like just that aspect of it, but then the whole day for night stuff
It's
that they were doing,
incredible.
I couldn't. That that was a thing that made sitting in those seats worth it
Hmm.
for Nope was it was Jordan Peele and Hoyt, the cinematographer, there discussing it, and it was like a 20-minute Q&A prior to the film with Cameron Bailey, and they talked about I don't know 10 minutes of it maybe it felt like about just how they did the day for
Yeah.
night stuff using infrared cameras side by side overlapping it.
It's incredible.
And then afterwards, when the movie started, they were like, "I want to see it on the big screen." So they sat right in front of me
Yeah.
for like the introduction portion, and I was like, "This was worth it." It
Yeah.
it was that was something nice. I think we both were able to do during TIFF. That were like part of it was work, and then there were other aspects were like, "No, this one's for me."
Hmm.
But Nope is great, and I'm not even after my initial watch where like it wasn't that I didn't love it as much, but it was still so much of it that I really did, and the Kahlua just always is
Oh, it's good.
impeccable.
Yeah. Yeah. What's next for you?
The next is the Northman.
Which almost made my list. It was on my list for a very long time.
I'm surprised it didn't, because
I
for a
know.
long time you were raving about
I
it.
it's if we did 25, it would have made it.
It's weird because did you have you seen The Witch?
I have, yes. I've watched every
Do
single
you
one
like
of his
it?
film. I I think it's my least favorite of his.
That's why it's like it's so weird because I loved The Witch,
Mhm.
and I need to rewatch The Lighthouse, but I saw it once and I
Mhm.
did not care for it.
Mhm.
I was kind of bored. Um, and part of that it has to do probably with the accurate dialogue of it all, but it still got to me for the Lighthouse. But with the Northman, I went with very low expectations.
Mhm.
I'm not a Viking person. I wasn't really invested into this, and it I don't know if fun is the word, but I want to say fun. Like it's such a weird, intense,
Yeah. And of the two of
sprawling
us, I'm
film.
the one who's really into that mythology shit.
Way more.
Yeah. I don't know. I think if we had done 25, it was on the list for a very long time, but then I kept thinking about other movies, so I moved it down. And so I think it would probably be 21, 22. Um I I mean, it's visually incredible. I saw it at a press screening too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I think I'm happy with because I saw it here in VIP, so it was still like a good time,
Mhm.
but it was. I wonder, like, it was also a weirdly solo experience. Like, there was no one really reacting to the film.
Mhm.
For myself,
Yeah.
like it was. I don't remember much noise at any moment, but like there were aspects of it where I felt like I was the only one being like, "This is wild. How are we doing this? This
Yeah.
is like just slaughtering whole towns.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
The violence of it all is it's appealing because you need it to hit that accurately
Yeah.
for that time.
I'm scared for his next movie simply because I don't think he chose the right people for his cast.
Yeah,
Um
Lily Rose Depp and
yeah.
who's
Um
is Harry Styles in it?
I don't think so. I think he was considered. So he was Harry Styles was supposed to be at first, but it was Bill is the so Bill is
Oh,
at,
Bill.
but I think she is so wrongly cast. And I understand he wanted Hannah,
Yeah.
but he can't get her. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, this is gonna be. I'm excited for it.
I mean
I
too, but
really,
yeah,
because it's also like the film that
he's
he's
been
been
wanting to
trying
make.
to
Yeah,
make since The
yeah.
Witch. That I'm like, okay, let's. I'm ready for you to finally do so, but that gut punch of the actress change really soured the mood of it all.
But yeah, yeah. Any other year the Northmen would have made it, but this year's was strong in movies.
It was insane.
Hmm.
And we'll get to that about our favorites,
Yeah.
but
Well, the next one on my list is in your favorites. I'm gonna skip over it. Um,
okay.
yeah, it's Scream. So,
What's
um,
the next one after that?
Tar. I don't. I think we only have two more in common after this, outside of our
Yeah,
favorites. But yeah, my next one is Tar. You haven't seen it.
I still haven't. I haven't. I almost was going to because I rent and buy stuff on iTunes,
Yeah,
so I was going to do that and see, but it's still like
it's long.
at that premium price.
Yeah, it's also
It's
very long.
that's the other thing. Like I'm like I haven't had time. All the movies that I needed or wanted to watch before finalizing my
Well,
list outside of
that's
Emily the
why.
Criminal was like two
Yeah,
hours long
that's why I didn't
minimum.
watch the two movies that I think would have made the list otherwise. Because they were so long, and I was like, I don't have time.
Yeah.
Tar is. I mean, I was in. I think Tar at some point was my most anticipated film. Um, I
How long ago did you know about it? Because I feel like it just for me, I
when
thought it
it
would
got
honestly. It
announced,
just started showing up on stuff, and I was
it
like,
got
"What is
announced for a
this?"
film festival. When it got announced for Venice, because I like even though we don't go to all film festival, we still look at what they're playing and like to know what we
Oh,
might want to
absolutely.
watch, right? So I knew about it. I mean, Blanchett is in my top 5 actress. I watch anything she's in. So I was aware she was going to make a movie soon that would be released. I didn't know what it was about, but I knew she had something coming out. And so when that arrived, I was like, okay, okay. And then it had Noemi Merlan, which I love. And then Mark Strong. I Todd Field was unknown to me.
Yeah, the biggest surprise for me out of this entire thing has been that like Todd Field is that actor from Eyes Wide Shut
Yes.
that has been like, oh, here he's also like a phenomenal
Film
filmmaker. That
director. Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Um it's it's hard to describe. I remember describing it to someone, and they were like, "Oh, so it's a biopic." I'm like, "No, you think it is, but it's not." And also like, it's hard to explain to people what this movie is simply because I went in not knowing anything. I just knew it was a Clay Blanchett movie about a composer. I did not know what it really was about, and then
right.
it was very surprising when like the team of the movie got exposed and I went, "Oh, this is what we're doing."
Yeah, it is something that I really do want to go and see. It's just that runtime. I I I have no problem with long movies. I
I just feel this
many
year
of
all
them
the
are on this
movies were
list.
fucking 3 hours long.
I
Yeah.
can't all the time.
Yeah.
I don't, especially like leading up to the end of the year, trying to do my wrap up of it
Mhm.
all. Like my hours weren't great, so I wasn't really finding time to see things either.
Yeah.
Right, like currently I'm working till 6, so I have way more time to be able to fit in a movie
Lucky.
instead of before. You have the mornings.
I sleep most
Um,
of the time because I get home so late.
yeah, I know it's a vicious cycle. I
Mhm.
hate it, but I've heard so many good things,
Yeah.
and
You'll
not
get there at some point.
I'm expecting to really like it,
Yeah.
but it's just that finding the time of it all.
Yeah. What's next on yours?
Next on mine is On the Count of Three slash Nathaniel. Did you see his stand up
I
special?
have seen the stand-up special. I haven't seen On the Count of 3 yet because when I wanted to watch it, you were like, "Maybe not now."
It's a rough
Yeah.
movie. It's not easy to watch. It's about two friends who decide at first we're going to kill each other as a way of both committing suicide.
Yeah.
So major trigger warning for anybody even remotely discussing the film sometimes. But instead they're like, how about we do it tomorrow and we'll do everything we want to today. And it's Gerard Carmichael
Yeah.
and Christopher Abbott
Yeah.
just giving it their all. And between that and then Rothaniel just really, I've lost track of how many times I've watched it. It's so well told and performed. It's such a great story that he's unfolding in real time with audience participation. Like, it's so out there. I don't think I actively have discussed how much I've watched comedy like specials and stand-ups growing up with my family. So even though I'm not really a comedy guy, like there's a lot that I've watched and familiar with. So like there's aspects of it that was
Yeah.
very great to watch, and Bo Burnham as the director who probably helped workshop it with him as well.
Mm-hmm.
But between that, I've also like gone back and watched other things he's done, and The Count of Three is just what a punch of a debut film, and I'm
Yeah.
just really excited to see whatever he does next. He is hosting the Golden Globes, and I'm so
I
excited
know.
to watch that. It's gonna be so. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah.
So I think the next one on yours is on mine.
I don't think it is.
Oh, okay, maybe I'm skipping
Mine is
something
Top
then.
Gun next.
Okay, Top Gun's fun. I love Top Gun.
I I remember so
I've
okay.
never seen the first one.
I've seen the first one, hate it. I don't think it aged well. It's not great.
Yeah,
Um
I believe that.
I don't remember how long I've been working in a movie theater. That fucking trailer, I could not anymore. I was like,
I
it
think
was
I think it was playing in theaters for like
3 years
2 years at
of
least.
that trailer. And I will say for anyone who is working in a movie theater, we were so over that fucking trailer. And
Every time we closed down, my only thought was, I have to watch this fucking trailer longer.
I know. I know. Every time they get pushing it. And okay, so I had no intention of going seeing it. I was like, it's gonna be okay. Like I love the Mission Impossible movies. We both do. And
Yeah, this the site is here because of it.
because of that movie. And then they did something that I think they were really, really smart of doing is that they released in theaters attached to a shorter version of their trailer a scene. And I remember serving a theater with other people, with one of our friend Greg, and we instead of working, we both watched that scene and we went, "Why does this look good?"
See, I didn't even see the scene. I
Yeah.
didn't know there was like they were
So they
showing a scene
released
for me.
the push-up scene in the
Okay.
theater, and I went, "Fuck!" So Greg and I both went opening Thursday afternoon to go watch it, and I remember walking out of that movie and being like, "Why the fuck was this movie good? It had no rights to be this freaking good."
It's so weird. I had no. I think I don't remember when I watched it. It might have been a week or two after it came
Yeah,
out, but it was still so. It surprised the hell out of
yeah,
me. Like halfway through it, I was like, "What is happening? How am I this invested?" It's so much more than I thought it was going to be, especially from that trailer for so long. But
yeah,
it's still. I want to. Honestly, it's. I was thinking of today of like renting it and watching it someone like over the weekend or something because I'm like I just want something silly and fun like
yep.
and that's exactly what I would
It's
pick
yep,
if I could check that.
yep. It's one of those movies that I did never thought it would make my list, and yet here we are.
Yeah, I did. If it counts on my list. I think I definitely didn't knowingly, but now in retrospect, I'm happy with more of my choices because like it's a discussion, so I can still talk about
Yeah,
Top
yeah,
Gun and
yeah, yeah,
Babylon.
yeah.
Um, the same way we'll do like throw whatever honorable mentions. It's like they count,
Yeah.
but it's the same thing. But Top Gun is the thing that I was like, it's it's definitely like the most surprised I've been of a film
Mm-hmm.
this
Yeah.
year. Last year, it's gonna suck.
But
Um,
what's next on yours?
Next on mine is Pearl.
Okay.
Pearl is I didn't love X. Everyone I know loved X, and it was not. I liked a lot what it was saying because it was both about pretty much just filmmaking in the 70s and like
Mm-hmm.
filmmaking in pornography and filmmaking in horror films were sort of looked at in the same lens, just with disgust. But I Pearl went further back in time and went to like the 30s and the Technicolor era, and it was also set during a pandemic, which kind of threw me off at first. But it's so lively. It's so fun. Mia Goth is wild. Like I feel like I've been watching her. I don't even know how many years now. She just pops up in things, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
right, yeah, she's in this. I think Ty West is the first person who has used Mia Goth and been like, no, 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 she's a star. And I
Mm-hmm.
know that's the meme of it all, but it's like it's true. And I'm excited and was happy because I miss the premiere of X at South by. I got to see a second screening. So at that point, Pearl was already announced, and I had to run out at the end, so I didn't even get to see the teaser for it. So
Yeah.
I had no idea what to expect.
But you
But
were
that
there when they announced the next one.
Yeah, so I was there for Pearl when they announced Maxine because the entire time I was like, "They're not. He's not going to do it again. He's not going to do it
Yeah.
again." And then I was like, okay, he's not. And then they played the teaser, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
that one hasn't been filmed yet. That was a big difference. Was
Yeah.
that both of Pearl and X were filmed at the same time?
Yeah.
But it's so. I don't know if you love the deaths and the gore aspect of it entirely. It is a bit much at some points, but I think like the filmmaking part, I don't think Ty West has ever been better than Pearl, and I've been watching him for a while.
Mm-hmm. Next for me, Triangle of Sadness.
That was so fun.
We opened TIFF with it. I remember I think we put it on our list just because it was the first film that we could watch at TIFF.
It was because it was because the truth was it was like between that and Holy Spider.
Mm-hmm.
Because Chris almost went to that one.
Yeah, and
We
then we
talked him into
convinced
joining
Chris to
us.
come with us.
I remember him joining, and I remember it was like 6, 7 of us in that
We
role.
were
It
so many
was so
people.
much fun.
Yeah, it
It
was
was so
so.
much
I
fun,
remember when the
and then it ended.
when the middle part happened, we both turned to each other at the same time and went, "Where's this going?" Like,
I
yeah,
it because it's like the different segments
yeah.
of it all. The I want to rewatch it. A friend of mine went to go see it, and she love her. Me, I don't know. Think she'll listen to this, but like respectfully, she's not a film person on
Mm-hmm.
our level. Like her going to, she went to go see The Greatest Beer Run during TIFF because her sister had tickets, and then she also went to see Triangle of Sadness at the Lightbox for a date, I think. So it wasn't like her seeking out these films,
Mm-hmm.
but she messaged me about it and was like, "Do you think I like it?" And I told her, and I was like, "How are you with watching bodily movements on screen?"
Yeah,
And she was like, not great." And I was like, "Okay, so everything else you'll love." And
yeah.
she did. She was like, "Thanks for the warning," because it was also
It
like
was a lot.
it's a lot. It's also not a date movie.
No,
um, but
I
it's fun, and my favorite, not favorite thing. This is awful to say, but like walking out of that movie knowing officially that the Queen had passed away.
Yeah, I remember all of
They're
us
so
getting up
intertwined.
and then we were all reading and you could just hear in the theater every single film credit going, "The Queen died, the Queen died."
It's it's
It was so good.
there. It's unfortunate, but like everyone remembers sometimes when the moments they find out people have passed away and
Yeah.
stuff, and like I'll never be able to not watch that movie and not think of that. And
Yeah.
then to follow up with Chris's brilliant tweet saying that the Queen would have really loved Triangle of Sadness is just
Yeah.
the perfect cherry on
And
top.
have you watched The Square?
I've not seen any
Yeah,
of his
I
other
haven't
films.
seen any of his other films, so we went both like pretty blind. Like I only watched it because like it did really well I can. So I was like,
Well, won the
ah,
Palme d'Or,
yeah. So
right?
yeah, so I was like, okay, let me watch this. What a film!
Because he also was it
The Square also
was it
won.
him that
Yeah,
yeah was it him that did Force Majeure?
I think so.
Okay, I've not seen that one either. I've not seen any of his films, but
Yeah,
I've been hearing his name enough, and
I mean,
I don't know if
well,
this is his most accessible film, but
yeah, it
still.
is, I think. But when we talk about After Sun, like I'll talk about how that movie has some of my favorite things happen. But I think Triangle of Sadness have my favorite opening of a movie. What a way to open a film and tell us exactly what your film is about.
God, that scene in the elevator,
It's so good.
so good.
Yeah.
I want to watch it again. All right. Um, the next one on my list is Something in the Dirt. It's the newest film by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead.
Hmm.
I've been following these guys' films for as long as I've been being some form of a film critic. Love their work, love their stuff. And this one's another one where it's just the two of them inside one of their actual apartments in LA, and it's about friends and it's about making movies, and it's also supernatural, and it's all these weird things, and there's crossovers to their other films that are also weird and
Yeah.
supernatural that are also only starring them, and it's so them. It's not a film that as it ended, I was like, yeah, I love that. I walked out a bit conflicted, but over time, it's just something I keep going back to and thinking about. And recently finding out that there was a connection between that movie and another movie in one scene, I was like, no, I really have to go back and watch them again.
Hmm.
I got to interview them and
Hmm.
speak to them briefly for the site, and it was a joy to do so. And get to tell them how much their work has meant to me, but it's it's so cool because at the same time they had directed episodes of Archive 81. They directed episodes of Moon Knight.
Yeah.
They're currently directing episodes of Loki
Me
season
too.
2. I'm giving it until phase 6 before they announce that they're directing a film.
Oh, absolutely. They're going into that trend. Yeah.
And it's exciting and it's fun that Something in the Dirt, just while they're making these bigger pictures and bigger projects, that they're like, no, this one's still for us. Like, it's so niche and it's so
Hmm.
small that it's still wonderful. It's a slow one, and it's not a film like most of their filmography that might not be for everyone. But there's aspects that's like loving. And I think LA folks are really loving it right now too.
Hmm. Next one on my list, I think we both have. The next two on my list, I know we both have. My next one
Yeah, I
is
have one in between them, but
yeah.
yes.
So my next one is Turning Red, and
Wow, so
I
good.
know I'm still so mad that was dropped on Disney Plus, and like
Every Pixar, unfortunately, at
yeah,
that time.
and like we both live in Toronto, so it was so fun to watch like a film take place in the city and like know things.
I'm so happy when Toronto films are shot, or films are shot in Toronto that are playing Toronto.
Hmm.
Like, we're always I'll always think about uh we're in the Incredible Hulk, right? Like, we were that scene, the big Harlem fight
Hmm.
scene was shot downtown Toronto, but it's we never really get to play
No,
ourselves, and then
it's
to do so in that aspect.
it's so good and like I okay, my biggest critic of any animation is always voice acting. I am very big on voice acting. I love voice acting. What a fucking cast. It's I mean, you give me Sandra Oh and anything and I'm just happy. Um but oh my god, that movie is so good. And I haven't rewatched it since I watched it with my mom.
Oof.
And like I have a very good relationship with my mom, but my god, this year was there so many movies about trauma and family.
Oh
And I
man.
was like, I remember and like even my mom like connected to like these characters and like our own trauma that she has that she hasn't dealt with. And it's I the director did that short film, right?
Yeah, Bao
Yeah.
Donishi.
Um I will watch anything that woman does because my god is she good.
So I remember when Turning Red came out, I was in Austin already, and I think I was going to try and watch it there, but that was never going to happen. And then I got back, and I think shortly after, Alyssa and I watched half of it. She had already seen it at this point.
Mhm.
She watched it while I was gone. We watched half of it, and then, as she does, she fell asleep. So we stopped, and I never went back.
Yeah.
And then I watched it about a week ago, and because it was so long ago that I had seen the first half, I just played it from the beginning. And those aspects, I think on that rewatch, I felt the same way. I was like, this is cute, this is fun, but it wasn't, there was nothing that grabbed me yet.
Mhm.
And then out of nowhere, it just like kicked me down.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, okay. And it just kept going. And I don't know if you had seen the tweet, but it was someone about that was saying how that scene is about her healing her mom's trauma before she's able to figure out
Our
her own.
own. Yep.
And that tweet just ruined me.
Mhm.
Like, it was just such a simple, it's such a like simple way to put such an insane thing to do.
Yeah.
And like, it is going back to reboot, and then we'll briefly talk about it again in a moment.
Yeah.
But these films that are about family, and sort of like in any other movie 10 years ago, that bond isn't fixed,
Nope.
right? Like, you would end the movie being like, well, they get along, they're civil. And in here, they're like, no, 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 we need to prove and show audience why they understand and why they're able to nothing's going to be fixed
Mhm.
entirely, but it's easier to continue.
Yeah.
And it's
I
Turning Red just surprised me. And I was reading, like, that was the last edition I put on my list because I realized I didn't have it
Mhm.
until we started recording, and I was like, wait, I need this in.
Yeah. What's your in between before we talk about the same one?
Watcher. It's
Oh.
on
Yeah.
Shutter.
Yeah.
Micah Monroe, Carl Glusman, I think it is his name, has probably, I think, like, Barbarian to me was the scariest film I saw this year. Watcher has like the scariest moment, and I don't want to spoil it for folks who haven't seen it, but it is a scene in a film that rightfully was written and directed by a woman, and that you can tell, and it's so good. There's so much to unpack. It is terrifying in not the traditional sense, but just psychologically, and it really, really gets to you. And it's has a scene that made me, as many other scenes may have throughout the year, like recoil in my seat, just being like, I need this to end.
Mm.
So good. What a film I almost didn't watch, and then was so thankful when I did.
Yeah.
How do we start talking about this
Well, let's just say the title. Next one is Woman Talking, which I realize any other year would be my favorite movie of the year.
Yeah, I had a lot of those. There's a lot of these that I could have easily.
Yeah.
I think technically, like, my number one, it could be like 5 movies.
Yeah. It is my favorite script of the year.
It's mine too.
Yeah. I remember you saw it before me and just you texting me being like, Arianne. And I was like, I know. It was so late for me too in the festival when I watched it. But
It
my
was, and it was
God.
also funny because I had seen it, and I think we were watching the same thing after, or
Yeah.
maybe we were just killing time.
Yeah,
I
I think
can't
we killed
remember.
time.
But I walked out of the theater and saw you in the lounge, and you just looked up at me, and I was like ready to lose it, and I was like, no, 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 I need a minute. Like, I was like, I can't interact with
Yeah.
other people. Like, it was just so. so much, and it was. I remember sitting there, and it was a quiet theater outside of people just like quietly mumbling to themselves, like, "Wow!" Like
I
just at some of the lines, at some of the performances. There's, I think I remember walked out and I told you, and I was like, "That's winning best screenplay."
oh
And then
yeah,
you
I
turned to me and you're like, "It's adapted on a book. It's from a book." And I was like, "Okay, it's winning best adapted
yeah.
screenplay." Like
And like
better.
the I'm so mad because she's not getting recognized, but my god, is Jessie Buckley incredible. Her monologue fucking like they're all incredible. Rooney, Claire, like all of their monologue destroyed me. But Jessie Buckley, I was in tears and like her the way she because she's the only one who's angry. And I got it. I was like, I get it. And it's
Yeah, it's it's rough. It's a lot, and it the performance of it are so strong, and
mhm,
that's the unfortunate thing. Outside of them being able to win best ensemble, it's like, who,
I know.
we can't give awards to
No.
everybody, and like
And that's
they all
hurting them. You
deserve
can
one.
see like on the short list and everything, they're not making them because they're splitting the votes so much.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's so good. And like I know a lot of people were criticizing like the choice of the color. I love
I
it.
didn't mind it.
I
I
love
didn't.
it because it
I don't know if
makes
I loved it.
sense.
Also, that song.
Uh
That song's been stuck in my head ever since I've
it's
seen that fucking movie.
yeah, this that movie to me is one of those films that like I don't know when I'll rewatch it. I need to be in a certain mind space, but my god.
It's funnily enough, they're doing a like a screening tonight
Mhm.
at the Lightbox. Norm is, I think, hosting.
Mm,
Um, but there's cast that are going to be there as well, and I immediately was just like, should I go?
yeah.
Because I think he had retweeted it or quote tweeted and was like, "There's still tickets available." But the thing is, I think if I were to rewatch it, I would have to take my mom, and I don't. One, I know she's not available, and then two, I don't. I, that's a movie you got to prep for.
Yeah, you do.
That was not. I think that was my 9 a.m. screening or something like that
Mhm.
too, and I was like, oof. Because
Yeah.
I have to show up early for that one.
Yeah. No, it was great. Yeah, let's do you have one more before we talk about our favorites?
No, I think we can dive into the
I have
last
one
five.
more before I go to
Okay.
favorites, which is The Wonder. We're going to go so fast on it
Haven't seen it.
because I don't know how to describe that movie. It is the weirdest fucking film I've ever watched. But oh my god, Florence Pugh. I know everyone was talking about her in Don't Worry Darling. I think she is so much better in this. And it helps that it's a great movie. But god, is she good. And I don't know how to describe it. I wouldn't be able to. I just say go watch it. It is so good. It is
Well,
so weird.
at the very least, plot wise, it's about her being hired because a child hasn't been eating.
Yes, the child hasn't been eating, but it's also super meta with the beginning and ending.
Huh, I didn't know that
Yeah,
part.
it's super meta. And so that's why it's so hard to describe because like I described it like this to a friend and then they watched it and they're like, what the fuck did I just watch? I don't understand. And I was like, I don't know how to describe it. I know people who hated it because of the way it starts and it's bookhanded.
Well, even Alyssa saw that TIFF.
Yeah, she was
Alyssa didn't really
confused.
like it,
Yeah, she was confused and we talked about it afterwards. Like we
and
watched.
then Alyssa came back to me and she's like, "No, I like it." And I
Yeah,
was like, "Oh, okay."
because
Like,
I don't remember what movie we oh, I think we watched The Good Nurse. And then
yes,
afterwards she was asking and I explained what I thought it meant, and she was like, "Oh, now I like it." And so
yeah, and that
if you don't
it.
get it, you don't get it. If you do, you do.
Well, and I think like going back to Nope, that was my thing. Was like I once I clued in and was like, "Oh, this is about the spectacle of it all." And then when rewatching it, I was like, "Oh, everything makes sense."
Mhm.
Like it was just you just needed that one last piece of
Yeah.
information. It happens.
Yep. Okay, so let's go into our favorites
Oh God, I watched it this morning because I'm guessing we're going to continue it alphabetically
alphabetical.
within this
You
with these
rewatched
five.
it this morning?
because I only saw it the one time and I needed a refresher. And to be fair, I rewatched it and like was making like the little speaking
Yeah,
notes
yeah, yeah.
for the list that I haven't looked at once,
Yeah.
essentially. But
What a
uh,
film!
I,
What a
I I
directorial
needed a
debut!
refresher. I can't believe it. It's one of those.
It's After
There's the
Sun, by the
moments in
way.
line.
Like I
Yeah,
realized
I
we,
should have
yeah,
specified.
we never said the title.
And that was my well, I guess at that point that was my second time watching
Hmm.
Paul Mescal because I didn't see it at
Yeah,
TIFF. I saw
that's true.
Carmen, which I
You've
loved.
never watched like Carmen was this first thing
I
you
need
saw of his.
yeah, and I'm excited to rewatch Carmen. I thought
I need you to
watching it
watch
at
Normal People.
TIFF, I want to. I
He
now
also
because
just, I sent it to you. I don't think you check your phone, but he just got cast in Gladiator sequel as the lead actor. I
I've
know.
never seen Gladiator, but
What?
that I'm not a big Ridley Scott
I'm
guy.
not either, but that's
Um,
actually his one good movie. Um,
but I'll that excites me. That's very cool.
yeah.
I'm into
He
that
okay.
works.
After Sun, I have a very difficult relationship with my father. And that movie was just a bulldozer to me. And like it was so good and it has my favorite shot, last sequence of any movie this
Yeah.
year. That final shot has stayed with me since I saw it at TIFF. And I saw it pretty early at TIFF.
I think for myself, there were two aspects that I keep going back to for it, which is why like After Sun's number like is one of the five that could be count as my
Yeah.
favorites. But it's like to me, it's the fact that I've always knowingly wanted to have a daughter,
Mm.
and then there's also this aspect of being someone who is also about to turn 30, who also never really thought they'd see 30.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which was a line he says in the film. So
Yep.
like these are two things in it that were like kind of like me questioning myself where I am, and then like how would I be in this
Yep.
situation, and all these things. And there's just so much, and that's just through his character. And then we're also
Her
looking at
character, like
over time, and there's just so
when
much.
they go to the shot of her as an adult, that movie just opened up to me because I was like, I get it now. I
And it
understand
starts
what we are doing.
on the rewatch. I didn't notice the first time, but it before it pans up and it reveals her, it starts on the same
The
rug that
rug,
he had
I
bought.
know. I
Ugh.
noticed that the first time and I went, fuck. And like the fact that she's just turning 30, she has her own kid, like it's just so good. And like, and I think I love that movie from the first time I watched it. And then when it first got released in theaters, she posted about it.
Yeah.
And she posted a picture of her and her dad. And I think that just made it even better to me because I was like, holy crap, that just took the wind out of me. Yeah.
After Sun's a insane movie. I really want
The fact that it's
more
a
folks to
first
watch
movie
it.
too.
It's ridiculous. It's unfair.
I know.
People are rightfully discussing it and praising it, and in hopes to continue to do so.
To
Um,
me, he's the only one who has a shot of beating Fraser.
I can see that. I'd be
Because
more surprised if they actually end up nominating him, but
his
we'll
momentum is
see.
growing. And that's the thing that I'm going with.
Okay, the next one.
I liked it a lot more than you did, and that I know.
It's funny because I actually did these two as a watch on the same day. Um,
Oh, you
but this one
did,
is
yeah.
the Banshees of Inisherin.
Yeah.
And I saw Banshees first, and then watch After Sun afterwards. I liked it. I didn't love it. I really didn't, and I think this is part of repeating myself the expectations of it going
Yeah,
in, because
because
I
I had
know you
hyped
had
it.
seen it,
Yeah.
other folks had seen it and loved it. I was also like, it was, I think, this maybe not the menu, but between that and the menu, that the two films that I was like upset that I didn't get a chance to see during the festival.
Yeah. You should do a rewatch of that because it's also on Disney Plus.
I did rewatch it. That's
Yeah.
what, no, it's on my list as well. I included it after because I have seen it the second time recently
Yeah.
and appreciated it way more the second time
Yeah.
and have continued to think about it. But
I've seen it 4
it
times
still
now.
didn't. Jesus,
Yeah, I love that movie. I think I am okay. I'm not a big fan of McDonough. I think he is okay filmmaker. I have never connected to
he's
his.
a great writer.
He's a great
I
writer.
don't think he's. I don't think he's a great
That was the
filmmaker,
first time that I was
but
like, you know how to make movies. I was like, this is great. It was the first film of his that I watched that did not feel like a play because he's a playwright. Like
yeah,
that's where he came
and
from.
that's fair.
And that was the first
Because
movie where I was like, I get it.
I love In Bruges. I think I still like In Bruges more than this. Seven Psychopaths I have a soft spot for
Mm.
because it was my first of his.
Hmm. Three Billboards I don't
Um,
like.
Three Billboards I can't
Yeah.
stand. And I've sort of have I've compared it with Edgar Wright's Baby Driver, where they both feel like Americanized versions of
Yeah.
what he was doing,
Absolutely.
and it just doesn't. Seven Psychopaths. I don't know if you've seen it,
Yeah,
but
he has.
it's just it's bizarre
Yeah,
enough
it
out
is.
there that it doesn't really compare. It's like a fever dream
Mm-hmm.
sometimes. But Banshees really got me on the rewatch though, so that's why I had to
Mm-hmm.
once after that rewatch, I was like, okay, I'm putting it on the list. I just didn't love it the same
Yeah.
way, but it was still it's great, and I telling people who are familiar with Madonna's work before to be like, it's on Disney
Yeah.
Plus. It's worth it.
It's worth watching. It's I don't know, like I know a lot of people are calling like talking about Colin Farrell and talking about like Gleason and everything. Barry and
Oh my god,
the girl who
and
plays this
Carrie.
Carrie. Holy shit! Like I, they, all four of them are giving some of the greatest performance of the year. And in any other hand, Dominic as a character would have been a joke character. But
Oh,
Barry just
absolutely.
gives so much to the character. Loved it.
He's becoming the one of my favorite people
Same.
to watch just because how much of a wild card
Yeah.
he is.
Him and Paul,
It
I think, are the highest rising actors for me, like right now, where I just want to watch everything they're doing.
it like to think of. I mean, even discussing the comparison between him and as Joker and the Batman,
Yeah.
um, or anything else he's done. He's just like that.
He's so
Something
versatile.
about him.
Yeah.
There's something about him that just like looks so off kilter
Yeah.
that he gets to play to it whenever he
Hmm.
wants. I think his role in Eternals is like the calmest character
He's
he's
ever
ever
had. Yeah.
that I've seen
Yep.
that he's done.
Next one.
So these last three are all part of my top
Yeah.
three.
One of them is both of our top three, which we're not surprised
Yes.
about.
Um, but bones and all,
Hmm.
Luca Guadagnino has just been on a
Tear.
fucking kick.
Yeah.
Like he just keeps going and he's not breathing. That I didn't realize until they announced it because I knew he was working on something with Rooney Mara, but I didn't know what it was until it was announced that it's supposed to be an Audrey Hepburn biopic.
Hmm. He has so many movies coming out.
It's insane. I don't know how
Insane.
this man sleeps, but it's just so fun to me. Like there's so much about Bones and all that is insane that the like
I watched
when
it in the
people realize
yeah.
when people realize like this is the same guy who did
Call
uh
Me by Your Name.
Call Me by Your Name, and they're just like, I don't understand. And I was like, well, you didn't watch Suspiria the year after, and
Yeah.
if you did, you're like, oh, this makes sense.
Yeah.
The romance of it all is wonderful. It's one of the best ones I can think of off the
Yeah.
top of my head for the year.
I watched it in an empty theater. I was by myself, and I'm so glad I was because my God, was that an experience? I I don't know. And like we both liked Waves, so we both knew about Taylor.
Yes,
And I remember
I
after
also love the escape room films.
yeah, I haven't watched them yet. You told me I would like them. I just haven't had the
You
time.
would. They're just
Yeah.
they're fun. They're
Yeah, I
so
just
fun.
haven't had the time to watch them. But my God, what a star. Like she's opposite an actor. Like Timmy has so much charisma all the time.
Yeah.
And she, like, to me, she outshines him most scenes.
Oh, I for me it's the entire time, and I think I like Timmy. I think for the most part he's great. I don't often see like think he's done a bad performance. I am getting a little used to entire. I also watch a lot of his stuff, so I'm getting used to entire like him being on screen because it's he's playing himself almost. It seems like,
Yeah. It's
and like gear like swaying into the shtick of it all. It sort of, but I think Luca and also um, Greta, for what it's worth, know how to use them so
they
well.
do. They absolutely do. And I think Denis Villeneuve also will like show that he knows how, like, I know you don't like Dune, but I think he's great in Dune.
I'm excited for part two, and he is good in Dune,
Yeah.
and it is funny because it's the movie of his where he's not talking the most.
Yeah.
It feels different, also, but I am excited for Dune Part Two, and I Bones and All just was a thing that just sort of got under me
Yeah.
and kept going. I watched it again, like I watched it opening day for us on the
We did,
23rd
yeah.
of
I watched
November, I
late.
think, and then I watched it that same weekend, and it didn't hit the same for me on that second watch. But I also don't think it's a movie that needs to be rewatched twice in the same week, so that's on me. It's a bit long. You can feel it at points, but I think the ride of it all is one hell of a journey, and by the end, you're just sort of blown away. And the score
Mm-hmm.
is perfect. I keep going back and listening to it, and it's bone chilling. It's so good.
And then the next one, we both have it on our list, which is Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I don't remember the last time a movie was like so universally loved.
Yeah. You had seen it before me, and then we went together opening weekend with your mom and cousin.
Yeah. I got to see it at South by. It was the opening night film. It ended, and I remember turning to Freddie and being like, "How am I supposed to watch something tomorrow?"
Yeah.
It has blown me away on every watch. Um,
I've seen it
I saw the
twice.
I've seen it 3 times, all in the theaters. I went once more after that, and it's again part of that millennial thing that I mentioned
Mm-hmm.
before. It the that whole the trauma of it all. It's and the fact like I love Swiss Army Man,
I
and
love Swiss Army Man.
I watched it because of this because of them. I didn't really have any expectations other than that, and it's just
Yeah.
when you get if you told me that everyone's favorite movie of the year is going to be a multiverse jumping like action drama thing with Michelle Yeoh that has a scene that's the most moving with two
Two
rocks
rocks.
discussing each
Yep.
other about just
Yep.
sitting still. That's a long-winded sentence, but it's just like it's so specific, but it's
It's so
so
good.
insanely
And
universal.
it's like everyone can connect to it. Like there's everything, like every aspect of it, you can connect to it. There's something for everyone in there. And like the fact that this is the best like multiverse movie of the year, when we had
Yeah,
a Marvel movie that wanted to do something similar and yet failed, I don't know.
yeah, pretty badly.
Yeah.
I'd love Sam Raimi, but I'm sorry,
Yeah,
dude.
no.
Um,
It's incredible. Like everyone in that movie is a like top of their game.
yeah, and then some, and like, and that's Stephanie Sue is just
What a
a
shame
star,
that she's
a
getting
star.
erased from
It,
the races award races, because to
I
me
know.
she is she makes the movie. Without her performance, the movie does not work as well. She is a star. Like she needs to be in everything.
Yeah, she does, and that's one of the reasons why I was like so excited about Poker Face,
Hmm.
and knowing that Ryan Johnson would sing to her songs from that movie about the bagel,
Yeah.
and annoy her on set makes me laugh.
Yeah.
So it's beloved, it's great, and I'm so excited that everyone is able to
Watch.
has been able to like
Yeah.
to get with it and sort of connect to it in their own ways. It's insane. It's so good.
Yeah. And then for the last one.
It's weird that it ended up being like this, but I feel like I've been going back and forth about, because Everything Everywhere at Once was my favorite since South by,
Mm-hmm.
but only recently on a rewatch on my, like, I think 12th. I think I've seen the
You've
new
seen it
Scream
12
12 times.
times?
I've seen it 12 times,
Jesus.
and that's why it is really my number one of the year. I love the franchise. We both do.
Mm-hmm.
I know that this one is not, it's not as good as the first. The first is my favorite, but frankly, my next one is always the one I just saw prior. It is so fun, and I think Radio Silence understand that franchise so well.
Mm-hmm.
It makes so much sense, and I think they're the right people that come to mind. I don't know. In the movie, they did throw Ryan Johnson's name, so Ryan Johnson directed Scream does sound appealing as well.
Oh, God.
But
That would be great.
a crossover with Benoit Blanc, that have that be the one that ends it all.
Yep.
But the end of the day, like, Scream feels like home, and like all the other movies, as much as I love them, watching that movie, just, I've had nights where it's just been like rough for one reason or another, and I would just put it on the background, and it's like everything seems simpler, and oddly safer. But it is the movie that I've definitely rewatched the most. I think
Mm-hmm.
I've technically made, I'm like one watch away from watching it the same amount of times as other Scream films that
Mm-hmm.
have been released.
Yeah. It's great. And it's also like, I mean, we're both pretty big fans of Jenna Ortega,
Yeah.
and we will watch anything she's in. And I think this is a movie this year. I mean, I think The Fallout also knows how to use her really well, but that is a movie that
Yes.
understood her the most, how she needs to be used. She's great. Like, everyone in that cast is amazing. And like, Jasmine is great. Mason is incredible. Melissa's great. But my God, is Jenna a star?
Yeah, she is, and that's the thing. Like, you, on rewatches, you can sort of watch from different perspectives, and you're able to. I mean, Jenna Ortega was also good in X. She
Hmm.
wasn't. She wasn't. I feel like she didn't have was given that much to do, but
Yeah.
then again, I think it was a film that was marketed to show it to be her film, but it
Yeah.
wasn't.
Yeah. Was it
Um,
also the first time she played an adult?
that I can think of. Yeah, because other than that, like, I mean, I feel like I'm not familiar with her Disney era. I am
Nah,
more familiar with, like,
she was a
you
child in
onwards.
there. But yeah, she's incredible. I mean, the next Scream comes out in what, 2 months? Um,
Yes.
I am terrified for that Scream because I think they did it so fucking fast. And that is the only thing that's making me less excited for it. Is I don't know how
Uh,
they wrote it so fast, they shot it so fast, and I'm just
they did,
scared.
but then, like, at the same time, I'm also of the mindset that, like, yeah, but Scream 2 did too.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know.
that one was also, like, very fast. I think I read recently that it was originally supposed to be 11 months after the original,
Hmm.
but then, because of a reshoot of something, they pushed it a bit further back, so it ended up being 13 months
Yeah.
after or something. But either way, it's still, I'm excited for it. I I I think the first one, not safe at all, but felt safe, and
It did. Yeah.
I have no idea who's gonna go in this one, and
I mean, you give me Kirby back, which I'm happy about.
I know I'm excited, and then also you got Samara Weaving joining the cast too,
And Tony.
and Tony, and then I forget who else. I don't know. I think that
Tony
might
and
be it.
Samara are the two new ones. Then Hayden is coming back as Kirby, and then Jasmine, Mason,
Also, the
Melissa, and Jenna.
you've seen She-Hulk, the guy who played Pug or
Oh,
Puck.
he's in it?
I believe so. He's the guy. He's one of
I know
the
him from the
men.
Arrowverse, so that's very funny to me.
Oh, yeah, I guess. Who was he in
He was
that?
a villain in one of the season of Arrows.
Oh, that's why I haven't watched Arrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's also, because he's in the opening trailer. Like, he's in the subway cart next to them.
Yeah, I'm also very excited about the setting of the next one. because that's the first time we're
Yeah.
going into a major, like major city.
I mean, they kind of did LA, but
Yeah, but
it was a film stage, so
yeah,
like it doesn't count. So I don't know what we'll whittle this down to, but for us recording, it's been about 3.5 hours.
yeah,
So I think that was a lot of the things that we've loved this year.
yep.
There was a lot. There's a lot that we didn't even talk about.
Mm-hmm.
If we weren't already at 3.5 hours,
We'll
we
probably go
we
more.
would do honorable
Yep.
mentions. But I think we can wrap up now. I have no idea what we're calling this.
I don't know
Um,
how many times we're gonna do this.
we're gonna try to do it. We can aim for once a month.
Yeah,
We can either whether it's just us, a friend with us, or instead of one of us, whatever. We'll figure it
yeah,
out. If you folks like it, let us know. Subscribe to whatever this is on.
yep.
Where can we find you?
Oh, on Twitter. Um,
Are you gonna put your handle,
I
or you
guess I
just
should, right? Let me open my Twitter. I don't know my handle. It's at
you can follow me on Twitter at Pocket Writer,
There
since
you go.
apparently you're not sure about
No,
yours.
my handle is at Binet A93. Where I mean, we're pretty active on Twitter.
That's the place where you find me most.
Yeah, and then you can find us like we have our links for everything there, like letterbox and everything. Who we write for and everything there. But yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So keep reading our stuff. Hopefully, wait until the next whenever this is.
yep.
Uh,
And then
and bye.
bye.